This is Godzilla. This is Ghidorah. And this guy right here, well, his name's Doug. Is that his real name? Kaiju have literally taken over this entire world, and I have been given the task of taming a whole list of these huge monsters. Before the end of this 100 days, I have to defeat all of the World Titans and the King Titan using only the Kaijus that I have tamed. So without further ado, I would like to welcome you to my 100 days in ARK Survival Evolves Kaijus. Welcome homies and homettes to another ARK modded adventure. We are playing on the map Extinction. We spawn right in this post-apocalyptic futuristic city. But just like every other playthrough, we have to start punching some trees for some thatch and wood. This city is said to be filled with big scary creatures like this. Hey, there's otters. That's cute. No, but for real, there's supposed to be big scary kaijus around here somewhere, which I'm sure we will encounter very soon. But for now, we got to get started by making some tools and harvesting some more resources that I can then go and turn into another tool, the hatchet. I then spot what seems to be a dead defense unit, which I can harvest for some resources. Only thing is, this Megatherium wasn't too happy about it. Oh, you're killed by a 260 Megatherium? Oh, damn it. We then found this Explorer note that's going to give us some good early levels. Explorer note! You know, we've been running around the city for a little while now, and it's been kind of peaceful and safe. Considering this is supposed to be a Kaiju playthrough, I hadn't seen a Kaiju until now. Oh my god! That was terrifying. That was terrifying to come back to. That was a skull crawler. With Kaiju confirmed to be spawning in this city, we really need to keep our guard up. There's that skullcrawler! I'm so scared right now. There's skullcrawler's tail. Holy lord. We made it a safe distance away from this skullcrawler that it didn't attack us. Now we need to continue on getting a good start in this playthrough. What is that? Fenrir? It's safe to say that we are going to encounter a lot of scary big creatures in this 100 days. It's already day 2 and we are yet to do anything notable, except find our first kaiju and die to it. Initially, surviving with these big scary creatures around is proving to be kind of difficult. I suppose all I can really do right now is to try and get some levels into me. Thanks to an earlier Explorer note, we were able to get quite a few levels. But still, these levels weren't going to help us too much against this Fenrir. Fenrir's right there, isn't he? I'm going to die. Oh, Lord! No! No, we're good. We're good. He's not even after me. He's after the freaking enforcer. Oh, sh. Ah! No! No! So yeah, that's just a little taste of what we're going to expect in this 100 days playthrough. You know, big scary kaijus is one thing killing us. Sometimes I need to remember that this is still ARK and little tiny ants can kill us too. I'm dead to freaking ants. In a world full of kaiju, ants are the things that take me out of it. The next time I awoke in this chaotic land, I noticed something over there. Seems as though there's already somebody on the server that's set up a little place. I was feeling a little famished, so I took a little sip out of their water tap, but then I got found. Oh, hey. We ran into Lucy. And of course, anybody that's on the server whilst I'm recording, I always set up an alliance with. But first, we have to set up our tribe name. We named it Subscribe to Mr. Miola. Why I did that, I don't know. He did just try to fight us in the last 100 days. Anyways, I started gathering a whole bunch of resources, figuring I might set up a base nearby. In this kind of world, it might be in our best interest to set up near other players. Safety in numbers and all that. But once again, things weren't going to play out like we expected. There's Titans! Oh my god! Yes, these monstrosities are inspired by Attack on Titan's Titans. They're a little scuffed looking, but definitely very deadly. They're destroying everything, dude. I really would like to harvest that stuff. Come to base? Well, there's Titans that are about to run in there and wipe everything. Just FYI. Next, I ran up to Mr. Pineapples and added him to our alliance. I named our alliance the Dodo Gang. Of course, another shameless plug to push my merch. Yeah, go and buy it. Join the Dodo Gang. Day 3 and we were introduced to a Titan. That right there is the Beast Titan. And the little Titans that killed us earlier were spawned in from him. It looked like he had his eyes set on us, so we had to make a quick run for it. Pineapples run, pineapples run, pineapples run, pineapples run, pineapples run. Hopefully Pineapples and his friend's base would survive this. It's unlikely though. I managed to escape to a safe distance where we couldn't hear any noise. I then took a quick dip in this water to hydrate my lips, only for my life to be ended by this Capro. With that Beast Titan in the other area, it didn't seem like that was a safe place to build. So I think the key right now is just to go up high. Indeed, I do think building up high might be the key to our success in this 100 days playthrough. Now we just need to find the perfect place to set up a little starter base. Hopefully somewhere free from any big dangers. This gentleman over here kind of sounds like he suffers from acid reflux. It's safe to say I would like to avoid this fiery breath, purple, whatever the frick it is. Anyways, we continue on finding this ramp that will lead us up to higher levels. We find this little ledge kind of area that has a couple trees and some bushes. base and a water source, so this might make a good place for a starter base. I begin by harvesting a bunch of resources just around here and place down some foundations to begin our starter base. It's not mega high, but I think it's high enough to keep us out of some dangers. Can't wait to look down there and see a massive kaiju that just wants to eat my butt. So far, this little base location has been pretty peaceful until I realized there's massive spiders nearby. I'm so dead. This thing's not dying. 190 spider? Bro. Who was that behind me? Thank you for not helping, you punk. I also didn't have a bed set up at that base yet, and we're gonna have to find a way to get back there without dying to crazy enraged megatheriums like this. I opened my map to see if this would help us find our way around this city. It didn't. We're clearly lost. Day 4, we ran around this city a little bit longer. Still completely lost. We eventually managed to find this familiar looking ramp, and this led us back to base, where our friend Toaster Coaster left our gear in a box. Safe and sound back at base, it's probably a good idea that we start making ourselves a bed and some crafting benches, all of which will probably require us to have some hide. So we head on out on the hunt for some helpless dinos that we can kill and skin them for their valuable hide. That right there is another skull crawler, similar to the one that killed us earlier, but not the same one. I was kind of on edge at this point. The smallest thing would scare me. Scared the frick out of me, bro. Moving on, we headed on a different direction away from that skull crawler to try and find something we could murder. Our first victim was supposed to be this big tortoise. We almost managed to kill it, but then it decided to drop down here, and that is the direction of the skull crawler, so we can't go down and follow it. We eventually found some weak dodos that we could kill for some hide. It's not very dodo gang of us, but hey, we need the hide. We made it back to base and took a sip out of this clearly clean water. Then I made myself a bed so we can at least respawn here if we die again. I then harvested a bunch of this stone from around our base area so we could make this forge. And from that stone that we harvested from around our area, we got a little bit of metal that we could cook up, which we could then use to turn into this smithy and hopefully some metal tools. Unfortunately, we need more hide. Now we could kind of cheese some hide. See, these defense units will kill a lot of the creatures around here. If we're patient enough, we could let them kill one and then go harvest the hide from it. Only thing is, I'm not that patient, and I prefer to kill things myself, like this big deer. Headshot! Oh my god. Headshot! That had all the potential to be an epic moment, except it wasn't. It's not hide, but crystal is just as valuable, and this stuff just grows all around the city. There was also this metal node, so this will help us out massively as well. We then bumped into this oviraptor, and I felt kind of guilty taking this thing out, but we really need the hide. I kept poking it with our stick, but it just wouldn't go down. Then this moss shops came by. It's a little bit slower than the oviraptor, and a lot dumber. It keeps running into this wall. But even though we turned it into a massive porcupine, it just wouldn't go down. Literally, we chased this thing for the longest time. Help me get that! This thing just wouldn't go down, so I enlisted the help of this guy. This took a hot minute, but we finally got it down. There we go. Thank you. It gave us a bunch of hide, but barely enough. And with all of that, I forgot to hydrate. I thought berries helped you hydrate, but I guess they don't. My torpor was rapidly rising, and my stupid idiot self accidentally ate some narco berries. So yeah, we passed out. It took a little while, but eventually we woke back up safely. And I managed to bump into a couple dodos that I could take down and harvest them for some hide. With this, we managed to make it back to base and craft up some metal tools. Now we are definitely making some decent progress. Now, can we really call this a base if we don't have a campfire down and a mortar and pestle? Day 6 begins with us using our newly crafted metal tools to be able to gather some resources. I then learned the reusable parachute engram so that we can do things like this. We're heading out on foot to go and hunt down some metal nodes. We found a dodo. It needed to die. After running around the city a little bit naked for a while, we managed to find a metal node and a broken down washing machine. Or defense unit, whatever you want to call it. There was another one nearby, but I didn't want to aggro that megatherium or the big scorpion in the distance. We managed to make some bowlers as well. So I bowlered this parasaur, pretended to clean its teeth out with this toothpick. Just kidding, it doesn't have teeth because it's dead. We're finally having a pretty good run, stocking up on a bunch of resources. The only thing is, I don't think this enforcer was too happy about us taking all the goods. When I finally awoke from my death slumber, I realized I probably need to start taming some creatures that can help us out on our journey. And we've added the Trank +++ mod that will allow us to make some pretty decent tranks that should help us knock some creatures out. But before we get to making these OP tranks, I'll need to go get all of my stuff. It wasn't that far away, so we managed to get it quite easily. There was also a metal node right here. This is like really close to my base. And just like that, I could bring it back to base. Now we finally have a whole bunch of metal cooking up. We can actually start moving towards achieving our goals in this 100 days. We might have 174 narco berries, but trust me, it's nowhere near enough to make these tranks that we're going to need. Also, to make enough narcotics, I'm going to need a whole bunch of spoiled meat. And we all know this is a whole process in itself. We do have the mod that gives us a meat spoiler. I just don't have enough resources to make it right now. So instead, we just have to sit here and wait while staring at the smithy. And just like that, a whole bunch of this meat is spoiled and we can start crafting up a bunch of narcotics. I really need to tame myself a berry gatherer because harvesting all these berries by hand is kind of painful. We will very soon tame myself a berry gatherer, but for now we got to have some fun jumping off this ledge and parachuting safely down to the ground. Oh, that still hurt? Yes, stupid. It hurts if you don't open your parachute in time. Anyways, I was reminded by my Twitch chat that you could harvest these street lights. But most importantly, we need these narcotics. Also, now that we have some crystal, I went ahead and made this awesome spyglass. This should help us determine the best tame that we could possibly get. Then I made this Tranks ++ mortar and pestle. It's like a normal mortar and pestle, but it's where we make the Tranks ++ narcotics and arrows. I then crafted up this crossbow and a bunch of normal arrows that will then turn into these blue Trank arrows, which apparently deal a ton of torpor. I gracefully parachute back down to the ground and try and hunt down a tame, preferably one that can gather a lot of berries. This iguanodon could have been an option, but it's a low level and there's other options around, like this level 270 Triceratops. I shoot it once and quickly make my escape. Not gonna lie, kinda weird to see a scruffy looking man running around naked with a crossbow in his hand. Anyways, this scruffy little man finds a safe space upon this little ledge here, and the triker that we're trying to tame didn't want a bar of us. We managed to get its attention though. Hey, yeah. Here, come over here, mate. And these tranks that we're using are making life so much easier. I even knocked out this level 40 trike. I just kind of didn't want to have to deal with it when I knocked out the other one. We had to do this just in case it wakes up and then murks us when we're trying to like tame its friend. Also, we got a bunch of hide and meat that we can then turn into spoiled meat that we can then turn into more narcotics. I fed this trike some major berries. And now we wait. Yeah, this is taking a whole long time, so we went and did other things. Again, we're gonna need a whole lot of meat that we can then turn into spoiled meat or more narcotics. So our first victim was this Phiomia. Psych, it got away. I did get hunted down by some more ants. This time, I managed to kill them. I managed to get the chitin off them as well, which we can later use to make a Pteranodon saddle. I returned back to our Triceratops to see that it had almost tamed up. In preparation for taming up this trike, I made sure to learn the trike saddle engram and see if I had all the required resources to be able to make the saddle. I just needed a little bit of hide. One more eat. Just munch on one more berry and we become friends. There we go. There we go. Also, there's a way that you can name dinosaurs in my Twitch chat. And before I show you the name of this dinosaur, I want you to know it wasn't me. This was my Twitch chat. Let me introduce you to... Yeah, I'm not saying this in this video. But yeah, that's what it's called. Now that we have our very own trike, we can get to work killing enforcers and get wrecked from these annoying birds. It's alright though. I don't need a trike to handle this annoying pest. Psych. Yes, I do. Anyways, the whole reason why we tamed this trike was to mow our lawn in our little area here. And I suppose maybe gather some narco berries while we're at it. And now we have a whole bunch of narco berries that we can then turn into narcotics. With this many narcotics, I went ahead and unlocked the next narcotic that we could make, these purple ones, but they are kind of expensive to make. Next, I made a full set of flak armor because being a grown man and naked in public is inappropriate these days. Just ask Uncle Diddy. It also protects us from predatory creeps like Dr. Disrespect, spiders. Thanks to the help of our trike, we managed to take down this predator. Also harvested a whole bunch of chitin, which, like I mentioned earlier, we could then use to turn into a Pteranodon saddle. Speaking of Pteranodon, we should probably try and tame one. If we plan on achieving the goals that we've set in this video, we really need to start getting a move on. Luckily, we ran into this level 290 Pteranodon. Also, thanks to these tranks, it only took one arrow to put this guy to sleep. Unfortunately, we only had normal meat and we didn't have any prime meat, so this is the only thing we could use to tame it. Kind of feels like a little bit of a waste, but it is what it is. Stop! Yes, it's that important time in the video where we talk about today's sponsor. It's me. It's me. It's my merch. Yes, go ahead. Go cop yourself one of these Dodo Gang hoodies. You're gonna love it. Or there's a whole variety of other clothing apparel items that you can go and purchase. Just hit the link below. shopaztec.store. But yes, it's also my brand. We are calling this the Game Over brand. We want to expand it into doing really cool big stuff. Oh, you might even like this, the dragon hoodie. You've got the flames on the sleeve. We've got the big dragon on the back. Go and cop it. I'm sure you're going to love it. Thank you guys for all the support. Really appreciate it. Link below. Go and do it. Yeah. And enjoy the rest of this video. Day 9, I decided to kill some creatures for fun. When I say that out loud, it sounds kind of sadistic. But trust me, they didn't suffer because they're not real. They're just pixels on a screen. I then make a Pteranodon saddle and then go check on our tame. It's taming rather slowly. So slow that I had to feed it some narco berries just to make sure it stayed knocked out. I waited around for this thing to tame. Again, the taming in this playthrough is kind of long and tedious. Thanks to my Twitch chat though, I do find a solution to this a little bit later on. But for now, we have a Pteranodon to ride. Right after I put away this trike. Just like any other ARK playthrough, hitting the skies really changes the game. And with this, I explore around this map. Maybe look at possible other base locations. This is kind of nice since there's water and stuff up here as well. This area, not so nice. Definitely grateful that we're up here flying and this thing can't get us. I think I've never seen that in my life. Then Lucy showed me their base location. This is a PogChamp base location. Very PogChamp indeed. Definitely a lot of space for activities up here. Day 10, I ventured outside the walls of the city. Because if I remember correctly, if you harvest these trees, you get crystallized sap and corrupted wood. The crystallized sap, I believe, works like gems in Aberration. I currently have no need for it. I just wanted to go see it. Flying around on the back of our PT has been so peaceful and tranquil. Then we're reminded that this is a Kaiju playthrough. Why is there a freaking Kaiju up high? I thought they weren't going to spawn up high. Yes, we originally thought that we were safe at higher levels. This is now not the case. Right outside the city, we saw this level 180 Gojiran. We also found a bunch of metal nodes kind of close by. I figured we were pretty safe over here just harvesting this metal. That does not sound good at all. No, it definitely doesn't sound good. Maybe we should get out of here? Like now? What are you doing, Aaron? Move! Move! Ah! Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Yeah. Even I think I'm an idiot. Okay, it was nowhere near us. We were sweet the entire time. Yeah, sure you were, Aaron. I managed to find a much safer location with a bunch of obsidian and metal nodes. Like a lot. We managed to stock up on heaps. When we were completely full, we started heading on back to base, where I made a bunch more forges so we could smelt this metal a lot quicker. Whilst the metal smelts, we went on out to do some more exploring. This time we were heading to the underground. I wanted to go check it out and maybe get some cementing paste down there as well. Oh my god. There's Cherno Alpha. Look at that. 1.1 million health. Man's definitely a tough big boy. We're now in the underground, a lush forest area hidden beneath the wastelands of the world. But also down here are some beavers with some beaver dams. And I plan on beating up some of these beavers to collect their cementing paste. Day 11, we continued exploring around this underground forest area. Again, beating up some of these beavers, but this time with my pteranodon and stealing the cementing paste out of their dams. You know, even after having many hours in this game, I still forget about stamina on pteranodons. Oh, shoot. Stamina. Oh, shoot. It's alright though, because I am a pro on getting back on the bird. Anyways, our time was done down here. It's time to head back up to our base. This time, I obviously remembered to land for stamina. I arrived back to base and I placed all of this new loot into our smithy. This cementing paste allowed us to then make a meat spoiler, which is powered by spark powder. So we better get on to making some of that as well. It's now day 12 and I made myself one of these reusable grapples. This paired with a reusable parachute is absolutely goated. Now, yes, I do have a pteranodon that we could use to get around the map, but for what we want to do right now, this is just a better setup. I want to try and take down this stego. Now, why would I want to do that and why is it so important to me? Now, if I remember correctly, if we kill a stego and harvest it, they should drop prime meat. And we all know prime meat is just a better meat to be able to tame some of these creatures in this game. And thanks to the buildings around us, I can just attach them with this grapple hook, which should keep me safe enough to be able to shoot this stego and eventually kill it. It just runs away from us a lot. So we do find ourselves chasing after it quite a bit. But when we're back on the ground, it wants to chase after us again. Run! Are we faster? We should be faster. But after a little bit of determination and perseverance, we were able to take down this prehistoric stegosaurus. Yeah, buddy. Give me that prime. If it doesn't drop any prime, I'm gonna cry. So, yeah, it didn't give us any prime meat. Frustrated, but hey, that's ARK for ya. We move on, head back to base, and now I crafted up a whole bunch more of these narcotics. This time, the purple kind. Because we're really lacking in the tame department, and I think we need to go and, well, obviously tame some things. Whilst also trying to avoid getting squashed by one of these kaiju. And since we're playing on Extinction, I wanted to go and tame myself a snow owl. Which means we need to head over to this little bubble, the snow biome. It was this area that we encountered the next titan. The colossal titan. Oh my god! It is a colossal titan. That is a big scary boy, but we're here on a mission and we need to go find a snow owl to tame. Further exploring around the snow biome, we found a decent snow owl that we should tame, and in a pretty decent area as well. We can set up a trap right here as long as we just get rid of these saber-tooth first. They're stupid, so they think they can run on air. They can't. We then land in this nice little flat area. I go ahead and set up this trap. Just a pretty standard gate trap. Most people know how this works. Then I went to go get the attention of this snow owl. Unfortunately, we had two following at once. We managed to do a few creative aerial maneuvers and singled out the snow owl that we wanted and managed to trap it quite easily. Easy trap. Easy trap. Get out of here, son. Go down. Yep, there we go. Good night to you, matey. Whilst we wait for the snow owl to tame up, we went to go have another look at this Colossus Titan. 69 billion torpor? How are you even expected to tame that? Yeah, that is indeed a lot of torpor, but I think there's a special mechanic to be able to tame this. Anyways, our snow owl is now tamed up. I also didn't want to leave this trap just laying around. There are other people on the server, and it's just polite to remove them. Now that we have this snow owl, I quickly raced back home, placed some raw meat into the meat spoiler, learned the snow owl saddle engram, and my Twitch chat named this bird Benji 2.0 after one of my flyers from my previous 100 days. Another gentleman decided to name my pteranodon Big Toe. Yeah, I don't know. Twitch chat is weird. Anyways, now that we have a saddle for Benji, we chucked it on him and took off into the skies. He's kind of slow, but then I remembered these guys have this kind of dive thingy like the griffins do. Did I really need a snow owl? I don't think so. Our PT was doing fine, but it's Extinction. We have to have one. We're now heading over to the desert biome because I want to tame another Extinction exclusive dino. I want to tame this Velonosaur. I need something that can be a bit of a killer so that we can harvest a whole bunch of meat that we could spoil to create more tranks, and then we could possibly tame one of these kaiju. This being a level 290 should do the trick. I kind of came out here unprepared. I only had one trank arrow. Can't really afford to miss this shot, you know. Yeah. We did not miss. Day 14 and we're patiently waiting for this Velonosaur to tame up. Yeah, this is a whole damn process. And kind of boring. Good thing we can edit all through that. And now we have our very own Velonosaur, who I quickly put in a soul ball, jumped on the back of Benji, and flew in the wrong direction out to the world border, almost turning this snow owl into Kentucky Fried Chicken. We eventually find our way, heading back to base. But along the way, we stopped to gather some resources. In the wastelands, there's always some really good metal nodes and wood and all the kind of good stuff. When I made it back to base, one of my chatters decided to name this Velonosaur Kane von Silford. Apparently, some people might know what that means. I don't know what that means. Just comment below if you know what it is. The only way that I could make Kane von Silford a saddle was in the smithy, so I did that. Then we found a nice area out in the wastelands that we could let Kane von Silford loose. I'm a massive fan of Velonosaurs. They're a lot of fun to play with, and they're a really good tame in the early game to be able to take out some of these stronger creatures rather quickly. Unless they close the distance and it gets a little tough because you can't really shoot them the entire time and then they stab you in the face with their tail. I know you're not liking this. You're not liking this. There's no way. You're down. What the hell happened? I have no idea how I got dismounted, but we took one down. Now we just have to take the other one down, which was a lot quicker. Whoo-wee. Honestly, I was kind of hoping to get some prime meat from them. At the end of the day, we're only out here farming normal meat so we can then spoil it for narcotics. And I'm pretty confident a big Bronto like this will supply us a lot of meat. I also thought that this Bronto was going to drop us prime meat as well. We might get lucky and get some off of its friend. These guys are rather large targets, so taking them down is quite simple. This time I decided to harvest it with my pickaxe, and we finally got some prime meat. There we go. There we go. We got 64 prime. We're good. Day 15, we remained in the wastelands just beating my meat. I mean, eating my meat. I mean, getting some more meat. Honestly, I was just having way too much fun on this Velonosaur. We almost took an L to a pack of Ankies. I never thought that was going to be a thing, but it was. They died, unfortunately. Anyways, the fun was over when we started hearing noises like this. Velonosaurs are really damn cool, but they're no match for a kaiju. We made it back to our base stacked full of meat. Now we just have to wait for it to spoil. It doesn't take too long, but we still have to wait. Next, I made this composite crafting table. This will allow us to make some sci-fi type buildings. Then I made this soul terminal so we can at least put a lot of our dinosaurs away safely. I then crafted up a bunch of composite building pieces just so we could secure our base that we're currently at. Realizing that there's a possibility that one of the kaiju could spawn on us or near us or around, I didn't want to lose my base and all the stuff in it. Now, I'm not actually sure if kaiju can break these building pieces, but all I know is it is definitely tougher than wood. Hopefully this keeps us safe until we can find a better base location. Also, I ran out of metal and couldn't finish this roof, so I quickly raced out to the wastelands once again and farmed up a bunch of metal. Day 16, I had one goal and one goal only: to stock up on as many resources as possible. I was starting to get a little bit nervous about our base, and I think it's time to expand and move, especially now that we've got a few tames that are pretty valuable to us. Our snow owl was really handy to have in this instance because it would just hold all of the heavy stuff so we could just continue farming. The great thing about Extinction is its abundance of resources, especially metal nodes. Like, they're pretty much all over the map. We just got to be a little careful where we land in certain instances. What is that? What is that? What is that noise? Skullcrawler. Good lord. I figured we were safe enough to continue farming. I just made sure to keep an eye in that direction just in case it came towards us. After a rather hefty farm run, we came back home and started cooking up all of this metal in our 4 forges. And we finally put the last roof piece in our base, keeping us nice and secure from the big monsters outside our home. I then finished off this day by collecting a whole bunch of narco berries from all the bushes around our base. Now with this, we should have enough narcotics to be able to go and tame something really cool. Day 17, I exited my base, looked up, and saw a rather peculiar sight. Excuse me? And to add on to things, we had a visitor come to our base. That right there is one of the community members riding a big-ass Ghidorah, one of the kaiju that I need to tame to complete my goals. I'd kind of been sick of being this scruffy boy, so it's definitely time to do something about that. We just need to go and collect some berries, so we can make some of these dyes, like the black dye and the red dye. Of course, it's time to give ourselves our signature look. Finally, we look kind of fresh. Well, we will when it grows back. It was now time to head on out and do some exploring. Also, this Ghidorah was killing this Chono Alpha and harvesting all the resources that you can get from it. Apparently you get a lot. Back on out in the wilderness, and we stumbled upon the king of kaijus. Oh my god, Godzilla. Again, just like Ghidorah, this gentleman right here is one of the ones that we need to tame before this 100 days is over. Only at this point in time, I have no idea how to get atomic fish meat. Then to make things extra special, my Twitch chat's favorite kaiju appeared. Is that Doug? It's Doug! We found Doug, chat. That's why everyone loves Doug. For the longest time, I couldn't understand the fascination with Doug. But later on, when we finally tame one, you'll see exactly why they're so cool. Day 18, we land in the city and we see a strange sight. There's a flying Mechagodzilla. This is certainly very unsettling. Flying Mechagodzillas would probably wreck us. We make it back with a whole bunch of resources to start cooking up in the forges, but now it's time for us to definitely find somewhere that we can call our forever base. I really do like the look of this spot, but I kind of also want to keep my kaijus out on display, and this place just probably isn't big enough. But I also want a good space that I can show off my kaiju. So we keep looking. We need a space that's kind of away from any of the kaiju spawns, which honestly we don't know exactly where that is right now, and big and open enough so we can display our kaiju once we tame them, of course. We managed to find other people's base locations, like this right here is Toaster Coasters, and then I see a nice big ledge up here. Ooh, there's like a nice looking ledge there. Although probably a decent spot. Although it's probably a really good spot. Typically, again, we can't display our kaiju, so we continue the hunt for a perfect base spot. Day 19, I kind of gave up looking for the perfect base spot. We looked around for ages, and I kind of want to progress and do some other things right now. I then made this awesome teleporter, so we have a way to be able to get our stuff back if we die, and also teleport back to base a lot quicker than we normally could. I then took off to head on out to the desert biome once again. This time, we were going on an adventure in one of the caves. Yes, I could fly all the way through it. I couldn't be bothered having to deal with all the creatures, and I turned cave flying on. We're only here for one purpose, and one purpose only. Cave drops. Yeah, I want to try and get some decent gear, maybe some decent saddles or some good armor. Even though we can fly around this cave, we still had to deal with bats. They're really annoying, but Benji's just superior. And just like that, we were able to retrieve this cave drop. Ascendant Ghillie's not great, but it's better than what we have. And it was this cave drop that gave us the goods. Yay, that's what we wanted. That's exactly what we wanted. Ascendant long neck. That's exactly what we wanted. With an Ascendant long neck, we're going to knock out some beasts. Yes, now that we have an Ascendant long neck, tranking some creatures is going to be significantly easier because it's just more powerful. Also, whilst I was here, I figured I'd pick up this artifact. We don't need it, not for a long time, but it's cool to have anyway. Finally, on our way out, we found another cave drop that gave us the blueprint to an Ascendant flak helmet. I'd definitely say that this cave run was pretty successful. Day 20, I decided to head on out and do something rather exciting and fun with my community. This OSD. If you're unfamiliar on how this works, basically once we start it, waves of dinosaurs will come and try and destroy it. And it's our job to protect it until the waves are over. There's different tiers of OSDs. This being blue is kind of an easier one. I had fended off a few when Lucy had arrived with her Karcha. And yeah, the Karcha's pretty dangerous. It does a whole lot more damage than my Venusaur does. And then there's Ghidorah. Yeah, this gentleman decided to bring a kaiju over to a little fight like this. This server that I'm playing on is hosted by G-Portal. If you want to get your own server and play with some of your friends just like I am right now, make sure to click the link below. Anyways, we spent a large chunk of this day just trying to find some of the corrupted dinos that are trying to attack this OSD. Because it's a lower level OSD, some of the dinos are kind of bugged and they don't make it all the way and we just can't find them. We do try though, and we do sometimes find them, but at times it does become a little tricky. And even with a dancing Godzilla on our side, we struggle with one of the simpler OSDs. It's the following day and we're up to the 4th wave, but this does drag on for quite a while. We can't seem to find the remaining dinosaurs that we need to kill for us to progress. This became rather frustrating and I was told that there's a mod that we can add to help fix this later on. It's only a blue OSD and the loot probably won't be that good anyway, so we just continue on our journey doing something else, like heading back to the underground. As most people know, cementing paste is quite a valuable resource and it's a lot of fun killing these beavers with my Venusaur to be able to steal their cementing paste. Down, sucker. Yeah, take your beavers down. We spend the rest of this day just doing exactly this, killing some beavers and collecting the cementing paste. This is certainly a lot more thrilling than doing a boring OSD. Day 22, we spotted this decently leveled Therizino. And thanks to these overpowered trank arrows, we were able to knock it out in one hit. Once it was asleep, I ran up to it to go feed it some berries. Realized I didn't have any. Jumped on the back of this bird so we can fly over to a location so we can pick some berries by hand. Once I ate one berry, I realized this was going to take quite a while. Thankfully, I added a mod that can help us out in this situation. I just had to teleport back home so I could craft exactly what I needed. Yes, the people on the server insisted that we added this mod. It basically just starves creatures out so we can tame them quicker. It's a little bit expensive to make, but it's not crazy expensive, so it kind of balances it out without making it too, overpowered. But once we had enough resources to craft it, I crafted it up quickly and teleported right back to the sleeping Therizino. And with the Therizino completely starved out, it munched down on all of these berries rather quickly, woke up, and decided to be our friend. And again, one of our Twitch chatters decided to name it after himself. Formless 57. Later on this day, I got changed out of this disgusting attire and put on this dapper outfit. Dapper, good sir. Day 23, Lucy came over to visit and show off her drip. I never typically use cosmetic mods in ASE, but this is kind of cool. Moving on, we head on back out to the wasteland so we can go and harvest some more materials. Except we got distracted by this OSD. And by we, I mean me and these guys. This time we're running a red OSD, which is obviously a higher level than the blue one that we ran last time. But we've added the Better Hordes mod, that after a little while, it shows a blue beacon that allows us to see the dinosaurs that we still haven't killed yet. Also, Lucy let me borrow one of her spare cartridges. I don't usually like to accept help in these 100 days, but this time I kind of wanted to play more with the community. It's a lot more fun that way, especially for things like OSDs that really require help. But I have to say, this Kacha was absolutely munching on all of this meat. I probably couldn't have done this alone, even with this strong Kacha. With the waves coming in from all different directions, we needed to cover all the angles. This OSD lasted so long, it went into the next day, but it is rather satisfying when this happens. All right, let's see what loot comes out. As the loot started spewing out of the OSD, I ran in like the little loot goblin that I am. We picked up so much that I couldn't move. The loot was admittedly quite juicy. I managed to sort through it and only keep what I needed. Then the OSD disappeared. I then teleported back to base so I could secure my loot. Our base is starting to look a little cramped. It's definitely time for us to move. But before we move over, I went and harvested a whole bunch of resources so we could build our new base. I then once again went out on the hunt to try and find our forever base location. There was a few locations kind of close to base that looked good because they were kind of big and still kind of up high. But it wasn't until we flew through this archway that we found the perfect base location. Honestly, I could probably build up here. This could work, actually. Even though there's a Mecha Godzilla below us, I think this place will do. Day 25, and you probably already know what we're doing today. Yes, we begin setting up our brand new base. Let the epic montage begin. Oh, what? You thought it was going to be the full build montage? No, not today. These science buildings are really expensive to make, and we just don't have the facilities to complete it right now. There was a lot of carting stuff from the old base to the new base, and of course repositioning all of our crafting tables into this new base. I'm also going for a little bit of a different design this time. Kind of. You'll see it completed a little bit later. We also managed to get these behemoth gates from the OSD from earlier. I placed them down out here to hopefully block some spawns, you know, so maybe a kaiju doesn't spawn up here and wreck us already. Bro, this place is actually massive. Look, it makes those behemoth gates look small. Also, if I plan on completing this base anytime soon, I really need to get these forges running. Fast forward a little while, we had enough metal to make some walls, then a little more to make somewhat of a roof. We couldn't complete it though, we ran out of resources. Day 26, and I only just realized we hit level 100. So I went through all of my engram list and unlocked a bunch of things, including a lot of the items that you need to craft to be able to tame some of these kaijus. I really wanted to finish this roof, but the metal wasn't smelting up fast enough. Then I remembered that we had some of these big behemoth gates, and if I break them, I can get a whole bunch of metal ingots. Yo, did I just get 1,000 metal from one? Why did I not do this earlier? And after breaking down a couple behemoth gates, we were able to make this. This came with the composite mod. It's the Kaiju ARK smelter. Basically, it's like an industrial forge. Smelts metal really fast. It also requires electricity, so this bad boy has to go down right next to it. And now we're cooking, chat. Let's go. And just like that, we were able to complete the roof of this base. Well, part of it. We're going to upgrade all of this later. Whilst I was hanging out in my base, I heard some thumping outside. Can you guys see the stuff that I have to deal with when I play on servers? Yeah. Stuff like this. Now that we have a pretty beast way of smelting metal, we need to go and gather a whole lot of it. I figured getting ourselves one of these mining lasers is probably going to help us out quite a bit. I originally thought that I'd go and tame myself an Anki so we can harvest a lot of metal, but honestly, mining lasers come in clutch. We head on back out to the wasteland so we can find some more metal nodes and start harvesting all this metal with this mining laser. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. The mining laser also gives us a weight reduction when we're holding metal, which means we can stock up on a whole lot of it. Completely filled up with all this metal, it was time for us to head on back to base. With the metal cooking, I went to teleport to another location. Lucy set up a public teleporter out in the wild so we could collect silicate. And if you don't know what silicate is, it's basically just silica pearls, but something that you can harvest on land, not underwater. It was a little bit hectic here because obviously all the dinos are kind of crazy, and then this happens. I got pounced on. Obviously, we didn't survive very long here. So when I respawned, I realized I didn't have a bed set up in the new base. Thankfully, Milkshake came in clutch and carried me all the way back home. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Once we made it back to base, I went to go and make myself a bed, but I don't have enough thatch. What do you mean I don't have enough thatch, bro? I then jumped on the back of Benji, but then I heard this noise, which is kind of unsettling. So I quickly dove down to the ground, harvested the thatch that I needed, and got out of there as quick as possible. And now we have a bed in our base so we can respawn here whenever we need. It'll probably be a lot because we die a lot. Next, I made this chemistry bench. Now we can make a lot of narcotics. Also, since we unlocked a whole bunch of new engrams, we can also now make these really strong trank darts. And thanks to having this chemistry bench, we can grind out a whole bunch of spark powder that will eventually turn into gunpowder. Also, it's a little bit of a process to make these darts. I need these simple bullets, which I'll combine with some narcotics to then make the special darts. Day 27, I was out in the wastelands when I got a message from someone on the server. They sent me some coordinates to a creature that I should go and tame. This wild level 324 Tech Rex. This area of the wasteland is kind of dangerous though. Obviously, we see these stegos, but there's also a lot of corrupted creatures here too. I'd like to try and clear these guys out of the way before I try and tame this Tech Rex. We even got rudely interrupted by this little saber tooth here. it died. With mostly everything cleared out, I took my opportunity to knock this thing out with my new trank darts. Even with only 30,000 torpor, it only took 2 bullets to put this guy to sleep. Even with this guy asleep, I had to quickly teleport back to base so I could make one of these taming helper potions to help us tame this guy up a little bit quicker. I will admit, stat-wise, this guy's a bit of a beast. It has 90 points into its health stat. Before heading home, we saw this level 280 Therizino. I took my chance to knock it out. What the frick? Even with the scary noises that were happening around us. We specifically tamed this Therizino because it's a male and because it's a high level. This way we can breed it back at base and make a whole army of them. I had been told by my Twitch chat that if I want to tame a skullcrawler, I need to sacrifice a whole bunch of dinos to it. So breeding is the best way to do that. Once again, my chat named these dinos. This Therizino is called Therapist and the Tech Rex is going to be called Mechazilla Jr. In preparation for our babies to be born, I placed down some air conditioners right next to our soul terminal. Whilst we wait for the Therizinos to make love back at base, I went back down to the ground so I can harvest a bunch of berries. It's time for us to stock up on a whole lot more narcotics so we can make these stronger trank darts. There's some beaver dams down here as well, so I might as well take some cementing paste while we're at it. Day 29, we were about to make a bunch of these narcotics when we heard this noise. Not gonna lie, I kind of freaked out because it sounded very close. But it was just Mr. Pineapples showing off his new kaiju that he just tamed. Pineapples and Milkshake also wanted to put on a show for us. Chono Alpha and Raijin were doing a little dance, I think. We're back in the wastelands exploring when we came across this. There's a whole bunch of random kaiju and things in this mod that we will discover along the way. They're not on our list of things to tame, but they're still cool to look at. Anyways, I harvested some crystal and then went on my merry way. Next, we found this level 260 female Rex. It had pretty decent stats, so I figured let's tame it. Again, since we're in the wastelands, we have to try and get rid of all the other creatures that are around before we try and knock it out. Thankfully, this thing only went down with 1 shot. The following day, we went on the hunt to try and find our Rex a mate. We spotted this male Rex. It's only a low level 180, but honestly, it'll do. We can just breed the stats in that we want. Plus, we're only trying to get a whole army of dinos together so we can tame a skullcrawler. With a couple of dinos knocked out in the wastelands, I made sure to track them this time. I didn't have enough resources to make the hunger tamer thing right now, so we just have to do it the old-fashioned way and wait. I had the mining laser on me now, so I figured I might as well mine some resources while we're here. Later on in the day, our first Rex that we knocked out is fully tamed up, but somehow there was a wild Rex next to it, so I had to quickly soul ball up the Rex that we just tamed, but then our owl started going crazy. I whistled it to be passive and stay still. Then I started teleporting back to base. Unfortunately, I got pushed out of the teleporter. All right, let's just die. Wait, did my snow owl get caught in the teleporter? So, I accidentally spawned at the wrong bed. Yeah, that was a problem. Damn, wrong bed. It's okay, we can just use this bed to fast travel to the other bed. Once we awoke, we saw that our snow owl did in fact make it back to this base. Next, we went to go pick up the other Rex because it had fully tamed up. And now we have a breeding pair of Rexes. We're definitely going to dominate. The moment we started them breeding, an egg popped out straight away. I then checked the soul terminal to see that we had a few Therizino eggs ready to hatch. We're starting to progress finally, and it's probably time we start considering taming a kaiju. We managed to find this level 240 skullcrawler, but I need a bunch of babies to sacrifice to it before I could tame it. And apparently you need to get a skullcrawler in order to be able to tame other things because skullcrawlers deal a lot of torpor. Day 31, and I've decided I'm gonna tame this skullcrawler. Try and tame ourselves a skullcrawler. I had a few baby Therizinos and a couple baby Rexes that we could sacrifice to the skullcrawler. I used this bridge as cover and then I threw out the Therizinos down onto the ground. I wanted to test out how this worked exactly, so I only used one for now. We were stuck in a stalemate for a little moment, so I threw out another Therizino. Again, it didn't really do much. Then I tried whistling my Therizinos over to the skullcrawler, and the skullcrawler started munching down on them. This seemed to be effective, but I couldn't tell if the skullcrawler was being tamed or if it was just killing our babies. So I guess I'm just gonna have to throw out all of our babies and see what happens. How do I know if it's taming? Ouch. I'm still unsure if this is actually working or not, so I tried feeding this thing some more babies. All of a sudden, it didn't have any interest in the babies. I think it was kind of glitched or stuck in the wall or something. I flew around to try and get a different angle, and the skullcrawler decided to eat my babies. We'd run out of our sacrifices, and I don't know if this is working or not. So I raced back to base and hatched a few eggs. There was a couple Therizino babies there as well, so I returned back to the skullcrawler and tried this once again. I was thinking to myself, maybe this isn't the proper taming method. It does say it's a passive tame, but maybe we have to feed it some meat. I approached it to see if this would work. It didn't work. I returned a little bit later with a few babies that we had laying around and sent them all over to the skullcrawler. This is literally my last chance. I was completely out of babies after this. Again, the skullcrawler was kind of stuck on the bridge there, which was refreshing because it kept us safe, but it also didn't attack the babies. Eventually, it got free and killed my babies, but it also killed me. Surely we had sacrificed enough babies to fully tame it by now. I returned back and it was in a different location, still killing my babies, but not tamed. We had a few little babies still left over, so I had to send them in. Go and visit. Go and visit Uncle Diddy. Come and visit Uncle Diddy. Go hang out. Go on. This big boy railed all of my dinos and it just wasn't taming. I didn't know what to do. We did notice it did have a torpor bar, so we just tried to shoot it to see what would happen. It had a lot of torpor, so if we knocked this thing out and we couldn't tame it this way, it probably wouldn't wake up for the longest time. Oh, shit. Shit. Yeah, I wasn't actually meant to fall off the building. Unfortunately, we died recently, so we had to wait for our bed timer to reset. When we were finally able to respawn back at base, I crafted up a whole bunch of these new crank darts. When I ran outside, I realized my snow owl was still over by the skullcrawler. I still had my pteranodon though, so we used that to fly back over. Found my little ledge once again, but the skullcrawler ran away, so we had to find another location to try and shoot this thing. When I found a nice ledge, the skullcrawler went underground, so I had to take a risky maneuver, go down, try and get this thing out of the ground. I then found another ledge to be able to shoot off of. Shot it once and twice. This thing was asleep. When it was asleep, it already had a little bar showing that it had kind of been tamed. I think our little sacrifices were taming it. They just weren't that effective. I fed it some prime meat, stood back and waited, and nothing was kind of happening. So I quickly teleported back to base, crafted up the elixir of hunger, returned to the skullcrawler and fed it the elixir of hunger, and it was immediately tamed. Bro, that was the biggest waste of time. Bro, we just wasted so much taming all these things, breeding them up, all this stuff to feed to a skullcrawler. And they're a knockout tame. To say I was frustrated is an understatement. Knowing that this skullcrawler was just a simple knockout tame, we could have tamed this a long time ago. Look, at the end of the day, we now have our very first kaiju tamed. It's not very pretty, but it's still a kaiju. We went out to the wasteland to check out this kaiju's abilities. Its bite attack is pretty strong for what it is. Then once again, my Twitch chat named this guy Baby Killer, obviously because it killed so many babies. It was kind of fun running around killing things quickly. And then we found this move. What are those buttons? Right click does a big lick. Okay. It's like it's sealing an envelope. You know, you need your envelope sealed. There we go. We can seal all the envelopes. But this is one of the abilities that the skullcrawler could do that was pretty unique and a lot of fun. Oh, we're underground. Whilst underground, it pokes its head out of the ground and attacks. Kind of reminds me of those times that you're really busting to go to the toilet and a little bit of poop just pops in and out. It could look like other sus things too, I suppose. All in all, for our first kaiju, this thing's pretty damn cool and decently strong. And that was completely unleveled. We now had 49 points to put into it. I put most of it into its melee damage. Wandering through the wastelands, we found a Cherno Alpha. Now, unless these things have something controlling them, they don't move or fight back. I started attacking it to try and get its health down, but I wasn't doing too much damage. Milkshake came in with his Cherno Alpha to give us a hand. It was speeding things up quite a bit. Still though, even though it wasn't attacking us back, it took a long time to take down since we were doing such a small amount of damage to it. We soon learned that the Cherno Alpha's flamethrower attack was pretty deadly, and that helped us get it down quickly. Yes, strange amount of resources. Indeed, harvesting this Cherno Alpha gave us a whole bunch of resources. More than we could possibly need. Once we filled up with a whole bunch of resources, I transferred some over to myself and then started teleporting back to base. Only thing, I was kind of worried that the skullcrawler might come with us. Please don't teleport back with me. Please don't teleport back with me. You'll explode my base. Don't come back with me. Just chill. Then this happened. The thing is, I didn't notice this at the time, so I just went on my merry way, storing all of my resources wherever I could fit them. Now, it wasn't until day 33 that I returned back to where we originally had Skullcrawler and Cherno Alpha, only to realize our Skullcrawler was dead. Wait, where did my Skullcrawler go? Hello? Where the hell's my Skullcrawler? It died? Again, I didn't see the earlier notification, so I checked the tribe log, and yeah, it confirmed our Skullcrawler was dead. Oh, I didn't even realize. That's not poggers at all. Meshed. Yeah, it probably did teleport back with me. So unfortunately, we had our first kaiju and we lost him already. But at least now we know that kaijus were kind of easier to get than I expected. Next, I crafted this composite bow, along with some metal arrows, which I would then turn into these tranquilizer metal arrows, because apparently they're just stronger than the darts. But I'm unsure if they're actually going to be stronger, considering my long neck is an ascendant long neck versus just a primitive compound bow. We'd also cooked up so much metal recently that I was able to extend my base out again. One of these extended sides is going to be our farm area, where we grow essential items. Although I wasn't too familiar in how some of the glass worked in this new mod. I wanted to see if it would work as a greenhouse, but we couldn't seem to get it working. I experimented by extending it a little bit, but we couldn't seem to get any greenhouse effect. I then tested the S+ greenhouse glass, and that didn't seem to work either. Well, until I tried this. Oh my god, now you... Okay, sweet. So it's kind of working. I will admit though, I do prefer Ark Survival Ascended's building mechanics a lot better. We finished off this greenhouse on day 34. But of course, we can't have any greenhouse without any plants. And to get plants, we need seeds. So down to the ground we go to go and harvest up a bunch of berries and seeds. And cementing paste too. I mean, why not? It's here. I'm going to eventually need a dung beetle so I can make fertilizer. But for now, we're just going to feed it some poo. Also, since we go through so many narcotics, I'm trying to grow a bunch of narco berries first. I also made adjustments to the mod so we can place down these S+ water intakes wherever we need. Next, I placed down the S+ gardener. She will then essentially just pick all of the berries and all of the stuff out of the crop plots as we need. The only problem is she's fueled by beer, which we do not currently have. So I placed down some beer barrels and started fermenting some beer. And this takes a long ass time to make beer, so we probably won't be able to use the gardener for a while. Day 35, we've got everything back at base settled, so it's time to go out and try and tame a kaiju. We spend a little while out here trying to find one that's tameable. We eventually came across this Mothra, and Mothra is a passive tame, but to tame Mothra, we need to give it a Mothra snack, and we don't have all the resources to be able to make this just yet. Mothra is on our list of creatures to tame, so hopefully we'll be able to get there soon. Later on, we find ourselves in the desert, and we come across a manticore that's kind of a kaiju. There's a freaking manticore. There's two manticores, Iroh and Zuko. That's cute. And these guys require kaiju G cells to be able to tame them, which I'm unfamiliar with. I think we have to kill certain kaiju to be able to obtain these G cells. And currently we only have one creature that might be capable of killing a kaiju, Mechazilla Jr. I then flew on out to try and find the weakest kaiju possible. And this molten Soro only had 7,000 health. I take Mechazilla in and bite down. It only does 110 damage. This might be a problem. I fully underestimated this thing. All I saw was 7,000 health, so I thought it was going to be weak. I didn't realize it was going to have massive damage reduction and deal a ton of damage. Ooh, we're going to die. No, Mechazilla Jr. I'm running. It's GG's, bro. I really didn't want Mechazilla Jr. to die, so we ran for our lives. It almost looked like it was over. This scorpion was deadly. And then I pulled off a move that even I was proud of. Okay, we got it back. Yeah, Mechazilla is going to survive and he's going to live another day. Phew. That was close. But now we still have the problem of dealing with this big scorpion. I took note of where we were and then I teleported back home. I'm going to have to rethink my strategy to take this thing out. The morning of day 36, I start crafting some of this element dust that we got from Chono Alpha into unstable element, which after a little bit of time will turn into normal element. I then packed up a few dinosaurs that I had in my soul terminal and brought them over to this scorpion. We're going to fight this thing with numbers. Technically, all of these creatures are disposable, so if we lose them, it's not that bad. I jump on the back of Kane von Silford and send all of my dinos into attack. Watch them all get munched so quickly. Oh, they're munching though. This strategy seemed to have worked quite well. We managed to take down the scorpion with no real issue. Now I just needed to figure out which dinosaur harvested all of the kaiju G cells. I had to check out all of the bags and it seemed like a few of them had some G cells in them, and we managed to stock up on quite a few. All right, I think we're good for G cells. When I came back to base, I realized one of the mods we were using had this, and I'm pretty sure that this works like a tech generator, meaning you don't need wires. The only problem is I couldn't really figure out how to use it. I thought I needed this wireless power junction thing, but once I placed it, we couldn't figure out how to make it work. Anyways, moving on, I went to learn how to make these different kaiju G cells. And basically, you need the different variations of element to be able to craft each one. So we just continued crafting up these unstable elements. I then jumped back on the back of Benji and went on the hunt for another kaiju to tame. And as I peeked over this wall, we saw a level 160 skull crawler. Only because we lost one previously and there wasn't really much else to tame around the area, I decided to tame this one. This turned out to be a little bit difficult. Every time I tried to shoot at it, it was just out of range. I couldn't get to it. So instead, I had to get its attention and try and lead it to a place that I could be safe myself and knock it out at the same time. And I brought it over to this broken down structure where I discovered I could get a pretty decent angle on it if I had decent aim, that was. I also discovered the metal arrows aren't actually that much better than the darts that we're using. I had a bunch of them anyway, so we needed to use them up, and just like that, we knocked out the skull crawler. Then I fed it some prime meat, and now we wait. I wasn't going to give it one of the hunger elixirs. Since it only requires one prime meat to tame up, it shouldn't take very long. After a little bit of flying around, we came back to see our skull crawler was fully tamed up. Oh yeah, we're back in business, chat. We're back in business. My chat then named this one NyQuil, and I have no idea what that means. It's good to be back on the back of a kaiju, even though when it jumps, it kind of looks like a ghoul. Honestly though, its underground movement thingy is pretty damn cool. Oh, what's that? A gigamoth. Indeed, this is a gigamoth. Basically just a different type of mammoth, I guess. And it requires G cells to tame it. Guess what? We have G cells. This one only took one dart to knock out, and for some reason, as we tried to approach it, we got damaged. Is that just from being in like range of this thing? I managed to feed it real quick, but we were dying rather quickly. I got out of range hoping that I'd survive, and luckily I did. It was taming up kind of slowly, so we went back to base quickly, where I'd make one of these electric refrigerators so we could put these G cells in them, since it kind of looks like they spoil over time. This way we can keep the kaiju G cells nice and crispy and fresh. Also, I was kind of getting sick of waiting for this big mammoth to tame up, so I fed it one of of these hunger elixirs. It then tamed up, woke up, and I could ride it without a saddle, even though I'm kind of floating above it. Then we rode it to see if this thing was any good or not. It's really not that great, except we later discover that it's pretty decent at gathering berries. And just like that, we had already gathered 5,000 narco berries. With that alone, we're going to be able to make a ton of tranks so we can start taming some of these big kaiju. Speaking of which, I head out to the wastelands with the intent to try and tame a kaiju. I didn't exactly find one, but we came across one of these things, an element vein. These things kind of work like OSDs. We just have to defeat different waves of dinosaurs, and once we complete it, we can harvest it for all of its element. Riding on the back of our skullcrawler made some of these dinos light work, especially with its envelope licking attack. This whole experience led us into the next day. Again, I wasn't alone. We had some people on the server come and help me out on this one, but I knew if we completed this, I'd have enough element to be able to make something really special. Thanks to the help of the friends on the server, I killed this final dinosaur and completed this element vein. And now we just need to harvest all of these veins around here, which will give us a whole bunch of element shards, element dust, and sometimes some element. It's a whole process. This takes a little bit of time, but Lucy stuck around and helped me out. Once we harvested all the tendrils from around the area, we then got stuck on the main one. This one gave us a whole bunch of element. After this final one was destroyed, I began teleporting back to base, and then Lucy threw out all the element for me. I was gonna leave it for her, but it was too late. Oh well. Thanks for the element. Okay, so why did we need so much element? Basically, so we can make one of these bad boys. Holy lord. Yeah, there's a few kaiju and creatures and things in this mod that have to have like a crazy entrance. Anyways, we basically have our very own Jaeger, Cherno Alpha. It's game time, buddy. We are now a mean, kind of green kaiju killing machine. Assuming I can figure out how to actually control this thing. Being quite a large machine like this, hitting some of these small creatures is kind of difficult. Well, until we learn how to punch the ground like this. Then all of a sudden one of these guys appeared. Titan just spawned in. It's not quite a Titan. This is actually from one of the mods. It just looks kind of like one of the Titans and is kind of aggressive, wants to fight. The thing's made out of wood, so I just thought this might work. Come on, Bernie mode. I will admit, Bernie mode wasn't as effective as I thought it would be. And honestly, our Cherno Alpha wasn't doing too much damage. This thing had 1.6 million health, and we're only doing 800 damage per hit. Rather slowly. This is going to be a rather long fight. Knowing this and seeing really no point to continue, I decided to leave. Our Cherno Alpha is rather cool, but it's just not strong enough to fight that guy. I then found something that I probably could kill. We went to go test this theory out. I know that these guys have damage reduction, but it really didn't like being burnt by my flamethrowers. I thought this thing was supposed to be OP. Why is it not OP? I mean, but it kind of is OP. Yeah, just as I said that, the flamethrower was working quite effectively. How were we punching the ground before? I punched the ground and finally took this thing out. I went to harvest it by hand to see if we would get any other different materials. We didn't really get anything special from it. Later on in the day, we had Mr. Pineapples come by and he wanted to show us some stuff. Basically just how goofy these kaiju emotes are. Whilst all this was happening though, I had an epiphany. Right now, I need a dung beetle. Where do I get dung beetles? Yeah, so we did exactly that. We went out on the hunt for a dung beetle. Dung beetles can spawn all over the city. We just need to find one, which is a lot easier said than done. They're really small and this city is big. There's one. We eventually found one by the green obelisk, fed him some poo-poo, and he was now ours. Next, I crafted up a whole set of ghillie armor. Now, what could I possibly need ghillie armor for? I need to go and tame myself a giant queen bee. Of course, we need some rare flowers if we want to tame one. And giant queen bees can also be found all around the city, just kind of attached to one of these buildings. But again, this city is massive and these buildings are even bigger. We didn't find any in the city, so we decided to go to the underground, where I'm sure we'll find a giant beehive. And basically, the moment we got in there, we saw one. Well, we saw the beehive. And to get the queen bee out, we have to destroy the beehive. Ah, that's right. That's a thing. I did forget, once you aggro the beehive, the bees come out and they kick you off the mount. And to destroy this beehive, I decided to bring out the big boys. This was easier said than done. The beehive was so small that my Cherno Alpha just couldn't hit it. So then I tried attacking it with our skullcrawler, and it was the perfect height to hit it directly. Now we just have to feed it rare flowers without it noticing us. I hid behind this rock here, waited for it to come out, and I should actually wait for all of its little bee minions to go away, but I was kind of too impatient. Damn, it saw me. Typically, you run straight up to it, and if you're quick enough, you can feed it a rare flower. But if it spots you, it won't allow you to feed it. And every time you fail, its little minions start attacking you. Bro, giant bees have never been this hard before. Also, if it's not obvious, we're wearing a ghillie suit, which is supposed to conceal us from any creature. I noticed that this queen bee was all by itself, so I charged in and took my opportunity, fed it, and now it's ours. Whilst we're down here and already wearing the ghillie suit, I figured we'll try and get another queen bee. This time, I attacked this beehive with my Therizino, and it didn't turn out too well for me. Yo, these guys are beating my ass, bro. Once all of those pests cleared away, we realized we had destroyed the beehive, but we need to find the bee. It was right behind this bush here, and I stupidly charged in, only for it to recognize that I was here. I almost died from that interaction, and with my health dangerously low, I thought it might be a good idea to try one more time. Thankfully, this time it worked. I arrived back at base, still kind of dying, but we managed to place down these beehives. I went to feed them the rare flowers so that they could produce us honey, but then I died. Thankfully, we were already at base when this happened, so it wasn't too much of an issue. Whilst I was at base, Lucy let me know that there was a level 290 Godzilla on the map. I went and looked to see what I needed to make this atomic fish meat, and I only need element and some raw fish. Element I already have, and raw fish I can get from this little pond just below my base, if I don't accidentally get murked by all the saber-toothed salmon down here. The fish destroyed my ghillie suit, that's why we're naked, but we were able to make this atomic fish meat, then jumped on the back of Benji too, and ventured off in the direction of this Godzilla. When I arrived, we were met by a little surprise, or a big one actually. Lucy? That's Ghidorah. Yeah. There's a big ass yellow Ghidorah there as well. And Ghidorah and Godzilla didn't seem to be getting along too well. I took aim, but I wasn't feeling very confident. Honestly, I was surprised the bullet made it the entire way. Ghidorah wasn't too happy though. We need to knock out Godzilla rather quickly. I was kind of concerned that Ghidorah might kill Godzilla, so we had to try and knock out Godzilla quite quickly without getting shot by whatever's happening now. Godzilla got into a rather tricky position, which made it hard for us to shoot him. But then Ghidorah was aggroed on us and not fighting Godzilla, so that's good, I guess. I then asked Lucy to give me a hand to try and get the right angle on Godzilla. Uh-oh, Ghidorah's coming. I then shot this arrow. Yes! Who did I hit? But I think I hit Ghidorah. I realized that this was going to be a little bit trickier than I had hoped, and I'd kind of decided I'm going to try and tame both Ghidorah and Godzilla. But to do that, I'm going to need a lot more of these powerful narcotics. At this point, I realized I'm not really prepared enough to be able to tame both Ghidorah and Godzilla. I didn't realize that there were higher levels for these tranquilizer darts. I thought they maxed out at the yellow version. One of these black tranquilizer darts deals over 100,000 torpor per hit. We could only afford to make one of them and a bunch of these yellow ones. But these darts paired with an Ascendant long neck rifle should do the job. I put on this Ascendant riot gear that we got and made a glider suit for it. Then I returned over to these massive kaiju. I made sure to put my tames away and only glide around with my new gliding suit. This way, we didn't risk losing any one of our tames. I managed to get a shot off on Ghidorah, which dealt a lot of torpor, but this also really pissed Ghidorah off. Oh, it's lighting me up, bro. It's lighting me up. I'm so glad it has terrible aim, but now I don't want it even more. I tried to get another shot off, but soon died after. I have a sneaking suspicion that that's not the only time we're going to die to these guys. Next time I returned, Godzilla and Ghidorah were separated, and I just wanted to kite some of these corrupted dinos out of the way before I tried taming Godzilla or Ghidorah again. This cliffside edge here gave us the perfect angle to shoot at Godzilla. I almost forgot to put away Benji, and I've only got the yellow darts on me, which aren't doing a lot of torpor damage at all. It's only just making Godzilla more angry, and to make things worse, this happened. Hey, Ghidorah's coming, bro. Seriously? Are these guys like best mates or something? Shooting at one is one thing, but having both of them here, stuff like this happens easily. I soon realized to be able to knock these guys out, I'm going to need more of these black darts. And my farm just isn't producing enough narco berries currently. We got our Therizino out, went down to the ground and gathered up as many narco berries as possible. Now the Therizino is pretty decent at gathering narco berries and berries in general, but there's one other person that's much better. The Mamaroth. Okay. Yeah, okay. This guy gets a lot of berries. Couple minutes later, and we had over 10,000 narco berries, which I immediately put in the chemistry bench and started crafting as many of these narcotics as possible. With over 1,000 narcotics, we could make 2 of these black narcotics. I returned back to Ghidorah and Godzilla on day 42. With only 2 of these black trank darts, I couldn't afford to miss. I ran up, took aim, shot at Godzilla, and it landed. It also put it to sleep. With Godzilla down, I ran up to it and fed it the atomic fish meat. Unfortunately, one of the atomic fish meat spoiled, so we only had 3. We're gonna need to go and get another one eventually. But Ghidorah and a couple of these corrupt pteranodons were really not happy. Took aim at Ghidorah, shot my shot, and put this 3-headed dragon to sleep. Ghidorah only requires certain meats to be able to tame, so that's a pretty simple one. I returned back to base, made another one of these atomic fish meat, and grabbed some prime meat out of our refrigerator, returned to the sleeping beauties, fed Ghidorah a hunger elixir and the prime meat, then it was immediately tamed. I placed it in this soul ball because some of these corrupted dinos were really being annoying. As I ran up to Godzilla, I realized that there was a corrupted rock drake nearby as well. I quickly starved it out and tried to feed it this atomic fish meat when... And eat the other one! No! No! I didn't get a chance to give it the atomic fish meat. In other news, we made it back to base safely with our Ghidorah. Another one of these kaijus that have to make an epic entrance. Its butt landed in my face. And this is an absolute Goliath of a flying kaiju. It doesn't even fit on the screen properly. We then fly back over to the slumbering Godzilla, and I soon realize I need a parachute to be able to put Ghidorah away, because every time we dismount, it's a massive drop. We make it to Godzilla, and I realize it had already eaten the atomic fish meat that we'd given it previously. Effectiveness went down. We took too long. And its taming effectiveness has gone down quite a bit. Then I try and teleport back to base before I get killed by one of these corrupted dinos. This is frustrating, dude. And craft a whole bunch of atomic fish meat. More than enough that I need to be able to actually tame Godzilla. Tame up. There we go. Just like that, we successfully tamed Godzilla and immediately got to work getting rid of all of these corrupted creatures that have been pests to us. Also, to celebrate, we had to do a little boogie ourselves. This has copyright music playing, so it's not playing currently because I ain't about to get copyright striked on this video. But yeah, just imagine something funky. I then had to go AFK IRL for a little bit, but Godzilla wasn't too happy about me going missing and killed me. When I finally returned, I went to retrieve my stuff and I couldn't from the awesome teleporter. This would have meant that we'd lost some good armor, our good long neck, Benji, and Ghidorah. In a panic, I flew back as fast as possible. I'm just hoping that Godzilla collected all of my stuff. I mounted Godzilla, opened up the inventory, and everything was inside it. It's day 43 and I finally have some beer to feed to my gardener. Now this weird alcoholic should get to work doing gardening stuff. Next, we went back to the ground to go and collect a whole bunch more of these narco berries. This Mamaranth is a beast at collecting berries. But as I was down here minding my own business, this thing appeared. Oh, crap. What the frick is that? I did not want to have to deal with that, whatever the hell it is. So I just went far away as possible. Because at the end of the day, I still need a whole bunch of narco berries. I could possibly use them to knock that creature out too. We managed to secure over 20,000 narco berries, which is certainly a high number, but with how expensive the narcotics are, it might not be enough to get us through. So I do set up some more of these crop plots around our base, even with scary noises and flashes going on around it. We also had enough fertilizer to make sure all of these crop plots were full, and we started growing just normal veggies as well. With all the noises going on around my base, I was kind of fearful that this big dragon thing could come in and wreck everything. I could see its health bar flying around below and went to go investigate. I then went over to Benji and put him away in a soul ball just in case he would react and probably die to the dragon flying around our base. Oh my lord, what the frick? What the frick indeed. I raced back into my base where I felt like I was going to be safe. How? I didn't make it inside. When I respawned, there was no sounds outside, so I thought we were safe. It didn't last long. Oh no, this guy's back. How are we supposed to survive this? Fearful that I might die a few times in this situation, I placed down a couple bunk beds so we could respawn a little quicker. I decided to stay indoors because fingers crossed this thing couldn't destroy my base. I just carried on doing what I had to do, tending to my crops, and somehow the dragon just disappeared. Free from any harm, I was able to place down this domestic hive. This is part of the S Plus mod, and basically it works like the normal hives. It just doesn't damage you when you open it, and you can craft it from your inventory. Day 44 begins with us dancing in a whole pile of In someone's world, this is a weird type of fantasy. In my world, this is basically what my office smells like. Next, I went ahead and extended the front of our base here. I then realized I think I actually want to work on my base a little bit. But after I placed down these foundations, I realized I didn't have enough resources to complete what I wanted. So back to the underground we go to go and collect a whole bunch of cementing paste. Next, I crafted and made this industrial cooker. You know, just in case we want to cook industrial things. We have our very own Godzilla now, and it was time that we had a little bit of fun on it. He's going to be one of our main kaiju, so I also wanted to level him up a little bit. 3,000 damage per hit is pretty decent, but later on we turn this guy into an absolute beast and he does significantly more damage. But until then, we're just going to have to enjoy him as he is. Day 45 and we're still on the back of Godzilla destroying things. It's super satisfying seeing the screen turn yellow like this. We then spotted a wild Godzilla in the wastelands, and this was a great way to test our might against a fierce kaiju like this. When I charged in, I accidentally went outside the border, so we started heating up a little bit. This Godzilla we were fighting had 1.8 million health points, which definitely is a lot, but we just chipped away at its health doing all the moves that I knew how to do, which obviously wasn't many, because a few of the kaiju in this mod come with a whole set of abilities, but I just don't know the buttons to press to make them happen. 3,000 damage per hit isn't very much, but we did manage to chip away at this Godzilla's health and finally take it down. Although it was a lot of fun running around on Godzilla destroying everything in the wastelands, it was definitely time to head on back home and make a whole bunch of these stronger narcotics, since we had a whole bunch of these normal narcotics that we've been cooking up over the last couple days. And with these, we should be able to head back out to the wilds and tame some of the kaiju that we have on this list. Day 46, we made our way back to the underground, but this time we were not after cementing paste. I remembered that there were some redwoods trees here, and I wanted to place a tree platform down on one of these so I can collect some tree sap. but for some reason it didn't seem like it wanted to work. I need sap if I want to make some veggie cake, and I didn't know how else to get it. But after a quick Google search, I discovered you could harvest it from certain trees in the desert biome. I wanted to see if my Therizino could harvest more of it. It didn't seem to harvest any of it. I was made aware that it was only these specific trees that you could harvest it from. I tried my pickaxe. That wasn't very successful. Then I tried my hatchet, and it worked just fine. You would think that after playing this game for so many years, I would know more than I do. But sometimes I just forget. I did notice that there were these pink flowers on the ground, and if I increase the delicate harvesting on my Therizino, I should be able to harvest rare flowers from them. Day 47, I found out when we harvest these reeds from the water down here, I can also get rare flowers from them, and a lot more than we did in the underground. Of course, I might as well steal some cementy paste while we're here. These beavers aren't going to need it because I killed them already. When I got back to base, I filled up my beehive with the rare flowers that we had collected. Then I went to the industrial cooker to try and cook up some of this veggie cake. But before I could do that, I just needed to craft up some stimulant in the chem bench. If you think about it, making stimulants in a chemistry bench is kind of like making certain illegal substances. And then we're just going to spike our veggie cakes with it. I suppose it's kind of like Red Bull flavored veggie cakes. We had now made a bunch of this delicious veggie cake. It was time to put it to some good use and go and tame something with it. If it wasn't obvious, yes, we want to tame ourselves some snails. Basically, the snails will then produce us some passive cementing paste that I intend to use to improve our base. And I'm sure there's other things that we could use the cementing paste for, but for now, that's kind of our whole intentions. With our snails producing some passive cementing paste in our soul terminal, I went out to the wastelands to go and harvest some metal. Again, I just want to set up so that eventually we can complete our base. But whilst I was out here, I encountered another kaiju. A rather interesting one in that. This is the owl beast. I don't know why it's called an owl beast. It doesn't really look like an owl. Like I'm riding an owl. This is what an owl looks like. That thing looks like a griffin. And this owl beast only took one shot to go to sleep. Now this owl beast requires enhanced or evolved kaiju G cells. And to make either one of them, I need to turn these active G cells into either one of them by using element shards, then normal element. We have now tamed an owl beast that's really a griffin and not really an owl at all. This interesting type of kaiju beast thingy is unique to say the least. Initially, I was pretty excited to have a new flyer amongst our team, something I might ride more often. But when I saw the thing fly like this, I was immediately turned off. I ain't gonna cap. This guy kind of flies kind of goofy. I just can't do it. This guy flies super weird. Super cool tame, dude. But you're going to live in a soul ball for, well, most of this video. Day 49, my Twitch chat named Ghidorah and Godzilla. And I have to admit, these names are kind of fitting for how we met them. Ghidorah's name is Godzilla's husband, and Godzilla's name is Ghidorah's wife. Since when we first met them, they were fighting like husband and wife. Next, I placed one of these tech elevators in our base, because today we're going to start working on completing this base. Down, up, down, up. Hey, it works, yeah. Freaking perfect. Whilst we're building our base in the background here, I want to talk about something really important. As you guys may or may not know, I previously had this channel hacked, which then led YouTube to removing this channel for over a week. And with this, YouTube is my main source of income and where I post most of my content. But now I've decided I want to diversify my content. I plan on streaming a lot more over on Twitch, and I'll be posting content on other platforms like TikTok and Instagram. So with that, I'd really appreciate it if you head onto those other platforms and follow me there as well. My handle on basically every platform is just AronAztek. I also have two other channels on YouTube. One where I post vlogs on IRL type stuff, and another one where it's just my streams clips type of channel. I'd really appreciate it if you go over there and subscribe to them as well. We've now completed the build. This is an upright, erect version of my typical base. I don't really like that the gray blends in with like the whole background and stuff. Day 51, we did exactly that. We began painting this building. And since the center shaft was so big and long, it only really made sense to paint this all black. Honestly, I only painted it black for the memes. I didn't really like the black look. I decided to paint it red so it would stand out better. And whilst I was painting this big erect thingy, I got sprayed in the face by a white sticky substance. Now, if this was a late Saturday night, I might enjoy this, but it's not. So I kind of needed this to stop because I had to color in my base. I was having too much fun with this mod since you can kind of color things pretty creatively, and got a little carried away making pink glass. But here is the final product. Someone in my chat named this the Red Rocket. Comment below any other creative names for it. Day 52, I had a look downstairs and saw that there was a Colossus Titan down there, and I decided I wanted to go and fight it. I'm still scarred from the last episode of Attack on Titan, so this thing really needs to die. And the perfect person for this task is definitely Godzilla. We jumped on down to the bottom riding Godzilla and noticed that he is definitely a big boy. I charged in to go and attack this Colossus Titan, started swiping away. The Colossus Titan did some big steam move, but it didn't seem to harm Godzilla, but it did break all of my armor. No way, his steam attack does damage. It made me pass out, bro. I didn't even notice that my torpor was rising this whole time. The worst part of all this, Godzilla and the Colossal Titan were fighting, and I couldn't even see the action. And oddly enough, it took a while for me to actually die. I raced back to go and join into the fight, But Godzilla seemed to be holding his own. Yeah, bro, Godzilla, you're the man, bro. Godzilla killed me again. Godzilla's really starting to give me some Charizard and Ash Ketchum vibes. So this time when I returned, I just let Godzilla do his thing, and he absolutely annihilated this Colossus Titan. I wanted to see what loot we got out of this Colossus Titan. I checked inside Godzilla, got my original loot back, and a whole bunch of Kaiju cells. It's safe to say I think we're going to be set for Kaiju cells for a while. Next, I was chilling in base, went outside, and saw this across from my base. This was an example of exactly why I don't keep my Kaiju out like I originally planned. Because we're playing on a server, a Kaiju can literally spawn right in on my base and destroy everything. Day 53, and I discovered that there was a particular Kaiju on the map that I had to tame. I quickly prepared some strong narcotics and took off to go and attempt to tame this beast. There's a Fenrir right here and I want to tame it. I landed, soulbored up my snow owl Benji, then saw some flashing in the sky. Oh my lord. Oh no, there's a Pacific Rimmy up there. There's a rim job. I definitely need to tame that rim job as well. Or Raijin, or Pacific Rim Kaiju, whatever you want to call it. Either way, I charged on in there, took my shot at the Fenrir, knocked him out in one hit, then took my shot at Raijin, and put this guy down with 2 hits. Crazily, this was one of the easier tames that we had in this 100 days. I had to return back to base so I could make some of these Kaiju G cells for the Fenrir and the altered Kaiju blood for the Raijin. When I returned to the Kaiju, I managed to feed the Raijin quite easily, but the Fenrir was getting attacked by a defense unit, which was essentially ruining the taming effectiveness. I had no way of taking out this defense unit, so I shot it with one of these tranks. This got its attention at least, and then the Fenrir woke up. Soon after, we also tamed this Raijin. Once tamed, we heard a noise of a Titan nearby. I quickly jumped on the back of the Raijin to defend myself, and we just started taking out a whole bunch of these small Titans. Okay, Beastie Boy wants to fight. It was the Beastallion Titan that wanted to fight us. We had only just tamed this Raijin and we were already in one of our biggest fights yet. The camera angle kind of makes things hard to see, but we took out this Beast Titan really quick. I'm quite the fan of this Raijin. Even the way that it runs around is quite majestic. We find ourselves out in the wasteland and we encounter this rogue Jaeger, which is pretty much the sworn enemy of any Kaiju. So my Raijin friend here kicks him in the face. I like this Kaiju. I like this Kaiju a lot. The Raijin Kaiju is definitely one of my favorites. When we finally take down this Jaeger, we unlock this, the Spawn Tameable Jaeger Engram, which is an item that we're going to need in order for us to be able to tame some Kaiju later on. For a large chunk of this day, we just ran around on the back of this Kaiju, just causing mass destruction. Honestly, this was a lot of fun, not gonna lie. But after the fun was done with this Raijin, we then got out our Fenrir to test him out. Yeah, and unfortunately, I was really excited to tame this guy, but he low-key kind of sucks. Although he does have an ability that summons in a whole bunch of direwolves as his little minions, and a pack of wolves under his command is pretty damn dangerous. Day 54, we were flying around the city when a wild Doug appeared. I was taking a little peek at Doug and his stats, even though he's a low-level 190. Oh, shit! He one-shot me and Benji out of the sky. Our Benji is now dead. Now, I need to go and get revenge, and the best revenge will be to tame and enslave this guy. I found a nice little bridge here to keep myself safe, found an angle, and shot down at him. This Doug had 9.3 million torpor, and even with our really strong darts, this took us a little while. So long, I had to return back to base to make some more darts. At this point in the game, I'm really hoping taming this Doug is really worth it. I'm thinking it is because my entire Twitch chat keeps telling me to tame this thing. Finally, the big boy's asleep. We glided on in, jumped right on his back, fed him some juicy prime meat and a hunger elixir, and now he is ours. Level 271 with 50 million health points. He's kind of OP. Alright, how good is this guy? Oh. Well, that answers that. We have now tamed the most overpowered Kaiju in this entire playthrough. I'm gonna have to set a couple rules for playing with Doug. But first, we had to name this guy. Someone in my chat decided to name this guy Boris Johnson. Pretty sure that's named after the UK's Prime Minister. I don't get it. Anyways, this oversized salamander is super powerful, so we have to set a couple rules. I will not use Doug for any major events like fighting bosses or whatnot. He can only kind of be used for farming out in the wilds and a little bit of fun here and there. I think using him for the boss fights, especially the King Titan, will ruin a lot of the fun and take away basically any challenge that's left in those boss fights. But when we have to farm for resources by killing a lot of creatures, he'll actually come in handy quite a lot. We have now ticked off a lot of the Kaiju that we are meant to tame in this 100 days. Now we need to tame one of these Godjurians. The only problem is they're not a normal knockout tame, which we discover right now when we try and shoot it and nothing happens to its torpor. I then meet up with Mr. Pineapples and he explains exactly what I need to do to be able to tame one of these Godjurians and certain other Kaijus in this mod. Basically, I need to get myself one of these EMP Jaegers, which has a special attack that deals torpor towards these certain Kaiju. Day 55 starts off pretty casually by just gathering a whole bunch of berries down below and in the wastelands. We need a lot of berries, always. These new tranquilizers are really expensive. I then take another look at this owl beast and and I am quickly reminded how goofy this thing looks when it flies. I'm putting this thing away. I then jump on the back of one of the OG flyers, my Pteranodon, Mr. Big Toe. Unfortunately, we can't fly around Benji anymore. May he rest in peace. But then we head into this area doing a little bit of exploration, and then take a peek at the King Titan arena, where of course, we're gonna fight the big boy later on in this video. But in order to fight the King Titan, first we need to explore some of the caves and then fight the other Titans in this extinction map. As a recap, we need to fight the Ice Titan, the Forest Titan, and the Desert Titan before we can even think of summoning in the King Titan. Day 56, I crafted this industrial grill, because who doesn't like barbecued meat in their mouth? Then I jumped on my bird to go and start preparing for these Titan fights. But then we saw a Kaijin come out of the ground, which was a level 300 Raijin. And since my current Raijin was such a low level when we initially tamed it, I think this will be a better alternative for us to own. It's going to be a little bit tricky because we're surrounded by a whole bunch of other kaijus and creatures and Jaegers. There's just so much happening in this area. By the way, that's Pineapple's riding that evolved Gojiren, taking down that Gaia. Anyways, whilst Pineapples deals with all the other kaiju, I'm going to attempt to tame this Raijin. I start chasing this guy on foot, but damn, he's fast. He had already taken down a Jaeger and this defense unit, which just so happened to drop one of these Jaeger cores. At this point in time, I didn't realize how rare these were and how badly we're going to need a whole bunch of them later on. We went to go chase after the Raijin again. A large flash happened and the Raijin disappeared. It had just fallen down into this chasm. We had our glider suit on, so getting down there wasn't too difficult. Since we had the high ground, I used this to my advantage and was able to put this big boy to sleep. I ran over to the Raijin, fed it a hunger elixir and the altered kaiju blood, but then I got attacked by one of these Megalanias. I made sure to keep its aggro and then I just grappled up high. But then I remembered the Raijin hadn't eaten the hunger elixir yet. Yeah, for some reason, I couldn't force feed the Raijin. I'm pretty sure it worked the last time. It doesn't matter too much though. It didn't take very long for the Raijin to be fully tamed anyway. I immediately tested out this Raijin's strength and he's definitely stronger than our previous Raijin that we had tamed. It was a lot of fun running around on this new Raijin killing things, but at the end of the day, we have some work to do. Speaking of which, again, my chat named this owl beast Horus. I think it's like an Egyptian god or something. Next, I got my big boy Boris Johnson out so we could take down this Cherno Alpha so we can harvest it for resources. Now, Cherno Alpha gives you a lot of resources anyway, but when Doug is harvesting it, it gets kind of ridiculous. Like, not only do we max out the weight of our Doug, we max out his entire inventory space. It's now day 57 and we're just carting the materials that we've gotten from the Cherno Alpha back and forth to base. Hopefully now that we've gathered all of these resources, there should be a lot of resources that we don't have to worry about for the rest of this 100 days. Later on in the day, we were flying out in the wastelands when we came across the big purple dragon again. He is definitely massive and scary, but I want to try and tame him. He's really fast and super aggressive, but I try and find a place that I can land and set up a shot to knock this guy out. I take aim, shoot, but a freaking corrupted Pteranodon got in the way. I try again, take my shot, but nothing happens. I soon discover that this isn't a knockout tame. So with this knowledge, it doesn't deserve to live. With Doug's help, we can take this guy down. It was a little bit trickier than I expected. Even though this dragon is massive, he was kind of out of reach of our Doug's attacks sometimes. But we set up at the prime position and did one of Doug's ultimate moves, which deleted this big purple dragon. Just in time too. It looked like we were about to die ourselves. I managed to make it back to base and grab some food that would hopefully heal us up. We now have a ridiculous amount of element dust, so it's going to take a little while to turn this all into element, but I'm sure it'll be worth it. Day 58, we spent a large chunk of this day running around on our brand new Raijin, killing things. Why would I do this for a long period of time? Because we're literally riding one of the biggest creatures I've ever seen in this game, and it's fun. Do I need any other reason than that? Speaking of fun, massive creatures, we got Ghidorah out. This thing is definitely ridiculously huge. And in the desert biome, we came across a wild Ghidorah and a Mecha Godzilla. I was fighting the Ghidorah, and then all of a sudden... Did that just disappear? Obviously, Ghidorah couldn't handle the heat. It's onto Mecha Godzilla. Mecha Godzilla had a ton of health, and we weren't doing much damage. And because I had no real reason to fight Mecha Godzilla right now, I decided to leave. But I ran into a little issue when I tried to soul ball Ghidorah. It wouldn't go into the soul ball. And then Ghidorah decided it wanted to fight Mecha Godzilla. Ghidorah wants to play ball, and he just doesn't realize he's really far away, and oh my gosh. Yeah, epic battle. Ghidorah, you're getting your ass beat, son. I really would hate to lose Ghidorah right now, so it was very important to me to get him back in one of these soul balls. Hey there. Oh, this is gonna be an epic shot. Ready? Prepare to die. Not gonna lie, that was kind of worth it. Day 59, we're out in the wilds harvesting metal. Now, Aaron, why the hell do you need metal? You just got a whole bunch of it from Cherno Alpha. Well, let me explain. It's actually quite simple. I'm trying to make this atomic nuke, and I need raw metal. The other stuff's cooked already. Problem is, mod's kind of broken at the moment and I couldn't craft it. Don't worry though, we do figure out a solution later on in the video. And that's when I'll show you exactly what the atomic nuke does. It's not what you think. Anyways, I've come down to the desert cave. I wanted to inspect the terminal because I wanted to see exactly what tributes I needed to be able to summon in the desert titan. Chaos Corrupt Cart, Fire Talon, Sarko skin. Other than the artifact, we don't have all of that. Managed to pick up an Ascendant Flak Leggings BP as well. That's a win. We're heading out to the Wastelands, to the most dangerous part of the map. I don't actually know what this area is called, but we're just going to call it the Red Zone for now. I then got out our big boy Boris Johnson and started annihilating all of these corrupted dinos so we could collect their corrupt hearts. Also, this is a place that you're guaranteed to find these corrupt wyverns that will give us the fire talons that we need. We managed to kill a whole bunch of creatures and got a lot of corrupt hearts and a bunch of fire talons, but I'll need to figure out how to get Sarko skins a little bit later, I guess. Day 60, I had a little bit more fun with my Raijin. I need a whole bunch of corrupt hearts if we want to fight all of these titans, so we have to spend a ton of time out in the wastelands grinding by killing corrupt dinos. But after all the fun was over, I figured out how to make the atomic nuke. We had to make it using the AronAztek bench. This was the only way to make it work. Now, how does this atomic nuke work? Basically, you ride your Godzilla and you feed the atomic nuke to Godzilla. I kind of cheesed this part a little bit by feeding it and then immediately giving it back to myself. And then your Godzilla goes Super Saiyan. This was easily a pretty epic moment. Godzilla looks freaking wicked, but is he much more powerful? Yes, he is significantly more stronger than he was. As you can see by this indicator, this doesn't last forever. So we do the best to make the most of this. Well, until our time ran out, that is. Oh no, powering down. For comparison, we were doing 9,000 damage before. Now we're only doing 3,000 damage. I then went to the ice cave to see exactly what tributes I needed to be able to summon in the Ice Titan. And the Spino Sails and the Therizino Claws, I know I can get quite easily. Also, the artifacts aren't too hard to find in all of these caves as well. Day 61, I returned back to base so I could repair all of my armor. Then I teleported to the blue terminal, placed in everything that I currently had, and realized I need a few more Therizino Claws. So we got Doug back out and started hunting Therizinos. I thought I'd find some in the snow biome, but after searching around for a little while, we didn't find any. I then took flight to go to a place that I definitely know there are some Therizinos. We're back in the underground. This is where we tamed one of our Therizinos earlier, so at least we definitely know there's Therizinos down here. And down here, we managed to get all the Therizino Claws that we needed. And now we can summon in the Ice Titan. We start the summoning and wait for it to begin. This then teleports us up to the snow biome. And I decided to fight this Ice Titan with Godzilla. Except when I tried to ride him, it's too high. It's too high. I can't reach. He's spawned in too high. Welcome to ARK Kaiju problems. When the kaiju is so damn big, you can't even mount it. We managed to get on the back of Godzilla eventually and engage in the fight. I then turned my Godzilla into Super Godzilla and absolutely obliterated this Ice Titan. This fight was almost unfair, but it also was pretty fun to watch. Super Godzilla is just an absolute beast. And just like that, we took down the Ice Titan and learned a bunch of tech engrams. The loot that you get from the Ice Titan's pretty decent as well. I wonder what we're going to get from the other Titans when we destroy them too. Day 62, I inspect all of our new tech engrams. The Tech Replicator and the Tech Force Field are both really good engrams to have unlocked. And for now, we're going to unlock the S Plus Tech Shield that we'll definitely use to help protect our base. Next, I teleport over to the Forest Titan terminal, but was immediately met by a bunch of dinos. Holy... This was not a fun situation to be in right now. I returned immediately because Pineapples cleared them all out. I only really wanted to come here to see exactly what tributes I needed. I keep forgetting. I have most of the tributes back at base except for the sauropod vertebrae. And I don't have the artifact, but we all know that's pretty easy to get. Today was also my very lucky day. In this blue drop was an Ascendant shotgun. Do I need this right now? Probably not, but I'm sure it'll come in handy eventually. Anyways, once again, we're back out in the wastelands on the back of Doug, harvesting corrupt hearts, because once again, we need 100 of the damn things, and also keeping a lookout for Brontos and Diplos for the sauropod vertebrae. Day 63, I've collected a whole bunch of the tributes, so I teleported straight back to the Forest Titan terminal, but the creatures had all respawned. Yep. Stupid. I thought I did a smart play by parachuting out, but when I tried to grapple things to get away, it wouldn't connect to anything. Then I was caught in the mouth of a Megalosaurus. I returned once again, thanks to Pineapples clearing them all out, placed in all of the tributes, but I forgot the sauropod vertebrae. Like, I didn't have any. I thought I did gather some, but I don't think I did. Thankfully, Doug comes in handy in helping us gather these quite quickly. I had gathered enough sauropod vertebrae to be able to summon in the Forest Titan, but before beginning that fight, I thought I'd go out and try and get some Sarko skins, which ended up being a little bit trickier than I expected. I thought I'd find some Sarkos in these water areas, but I only managed to find like one here and none down here. That was until my Twitch chat told me that I could find some Sarkos in the desert biomes cave. So I walked my Doug up straight into the entrance of this cave and got stuck. Yeah, this guy's a big boy. It didn't work. Still though, I was curious to see if his ranged attack could absolutely obliterate everything in this walkway. I powered up and shot, and I think everything was already dead in there, but it was still cool to look at. Unfortunately, Doug couldn't come with us on this trip. That's okay though, because once we got in there, our boy Raijin could come, and he handles these crocodiles with ease. Raijin does get stuck in a few of these archways. It's okay, we just ball them up and then just keep going on. Then I find the perfect place to let Doug loose on. This waterhole is full of Sarkos, which leads us to collect all of the Sarko skins we need to be able to summon in the Desert Titan. Before teleporting back to the Forest Titan terminal, I got my Mechazilla Jr. out to protect us from all the dinos that are here and destroy them quickly. Once we were clear, I placed my sauropod vertebrae into the terminal and began summoning in the Forest Titan. Mr. Pineapples came along as well. He's not going to fight, but he's just there so we can get the engrams. Once we landed in our destination, I then got my Kaiju out ready to fight. I decided we're going to fight the Forest Titan with our Raijin. To me, this kind of looks like a fun matchup. And I was right. This was a pretty fun and even balanced fight. Not really. My Raijin's a freaking beast. Not quite as strong as Super Godzilla, but it's also kind of funny watching Raijin kick this Forest Titan in the head. Soon after, we finally killed the Forest Titan and unlocked a few more tech engrams. More importantly, some of this loot was really damn good. We've now defeated the Ice Titan and the Forest Titan. We only now need to defeat the Desert Titan before we can fight the King Titan. I then teleported over to the Desert Titan terminal and inspected what I needed here to be able to summon him in. Needing 100 corrupt hearts to summon in each one of these Titans is a lot of grinding, but Doug definitely helps in this situation. And this red biome. This red biome's good for the corrupt hearts and the fire talons as well. We do manage to get a whole bunch of these Giganotosaurus hearts as well that we're going to need for the King Titan. The grind is real, chat. The grind is real. It's now day 66 and it's time for the Desert Titan fight. Since we now have all the tributes that we need. Once again, we have some guests coming along. They want to pick up some engrams. Look at these people leeching off all my hard work, and they try and bowl me. Stupid punks. Anyways, I had the perfect kaiju to fight the Desert Titan. The three-headed dragon hydra thingy, Ghidorah. After all, a flying titan versus a flying kaiju, it kind of just makes sense to me. Now, the Desert Titan is one of the more interesting Titan fights. Yes, it does fly, so obviously that creates a different experience in itself, but it also has minions that will dismount you, like this. I was dismounted? With this, I tried whistling the Ghidorah to fight the Desert Titan by itself, but it did nothing. I parachuted and shot it away, but it wasn't that effective. I need to get back onto the Ghidorah somehow. I tried my best gliding back on in, using my parachute to maintain altitude. Then I tried grappling onto my Ghidorah, and this seemed to have worked. I was then able to remount Ghidorah and continue fighting. Admittedly, the Desert Titan seems kind of passive, but I think it's like extra attacks do all the work. I'm trying my best not to get too close. I don't want to get dismounted again. This somehow ends up being quite effective, and we're able to defeat the Desert Titan. We did it. Unlocked some pretty decent tech engrams too. Well, mainly just a tech generator. That's a good one. We managed to get through the basic Titans rather quickly, but we still have so much to do in this 100 days. I then go check to see exactly what I need to be able to summon in the King Titan. Ideally, I'd like to try and summon in the Alpha King Titan, but to be able to summon that, we actually have to defeat the Gamma Titan and then the Beta Titan before we can even think of summoning in the Alpha Titan. And we need a whole bunch of these Alpha Tyrannosaurus tooths among a whole other amount of tributes. But we also have a whole list of kaiju that we need to tame, and that'll be a whole process in itself. I want to try and work towards taming a Godjiran, one of our kaiju on the list. But to tame one of them, I need to get myself an EMP mech. To be able to make an EMP mech, I need to kill a whole bunch of these Jaegers, and hopefully one of them will drop one of these Jaeger cores. This becomes one of the biggest issues of this 100 days. I'm literally just roaming around the wastelands looking for Jaegers to kill. When I can't find any Jaegers to kill, I come over to this specific location because I know that there's an enraged corrupted Rex, and these things drop the Alpha Tyrannosaurus tooth. We need a whole bunch of them as well, and in this particular location, there's always guaranteed to be an enraged corrupted Rex. Day 68, we comb the wastelands looking for more Jaegers, and enraged corrupt Rexes as well. We hunt down a whole bunch of these Jaegers. We kill one that finally drops a Jaeger core. I see a core! I see a core! But let me get to this core. This is all that matters. Also, we were dying from being out here for so long and overheating or something. I don't know. I tried teleporting back to base, but we didn't make it. Day funny number. We're flying around on a Pteranodon, avoiding big behemoths. I was looking through the engram list, and then I also noticed that there was bosses that I could summon in and fight. By the end of this 100 days, I would like to try and defeat these guys. Time is running out. Hopefully we can make it, especially when it's so hard to just find these Jaegers and kill them and get the Jaeger cores. We literally kill so many of them, but they don't drop the Jaeger cores that we need. Day 70, I was summoned back to my base by a few people on server. What could they possibly want? What the fuck are you guys doing? You guys are dickheads. These guys are so chaotic, they ended up chainsawing each other. One of them managed to take the L. Playing on the server is a lot of fun, I will admit. But some of these guys are kind of crazy, so if you join us, you've been warned. I'm back out in the wastelands, and we saw this OSD. As soon as I recognized that it was a purple OSD, I knew we had to complete it. And Doug was definitely the man for this job. As far as I know, the purple OSD is the highest tier OSD, which gives us the best loot. But the other reason why I wanted to do it was because apparently enraged corrupted T-Rexes spawn in and we could then harvest them for their alpha T-Rex teeth. But also because so many corrupt creatures come, we should be able to collect a whole bunch of these corrupt hearts for the King Titan fight. Of course, the others came into fight as well, and there were 4 kaiju protecting this OSD. Kind of overpowered, but it is a lot of fun. This is a pretty long drawn out fight, even with 4 kaiju attacking it. This extends into the next day and we're only up to wave 5, but we're determined to get all the juicy loot from this OSD and of course the tributes that we need for the King Titan fights. Everything was going rather splendid and it looked like we were going to succeed in this OSD. That was until we got arked. Oh, lag. Big lag spike. That's a server save. That might not be a server save. That might be a crash. Yep. The server crashed. We were just dominating too hard. We returned back in day 72 and the OSD had gone. I have teeth, no worries. And basically, Doug is now showing you a representation of my feelings in this point in time. Annoyed and frustrated, but we got work to do. With Doug, I managed to take down this Gaia, which once you kill it and harvest it, you get a whole bunch of vegetation from it. I suppose this makes sense, but I don't know. Kind of odd. We're back out here hunting down Jaegers once again and not getting Jaeger calls once we kill them. I also still need a whole bunch of corrupt hearts. We didn't get many from before. And also trying to get some alpha Tyrannosaurus teeth as well. Doug is so damn powerful, even this big dragon didn't stand a chance against him. Yeah. Doug is way too overpowered for this game. Day 73, we're still out here trying to hunt down Jaegers so we can eventually make this EMP mech. We easily killed over 40 to 50 of them and got none. So day 74, I get Pineapples to help me out with a little experiment. Pineapples helps us admin the servers. So I got him into admin mode and got him to spawn in a whole bunch of Jaegers to try and see how many Jaegers we would need to kill to be able to get one of these Jaeger cores. We managed to kill about 30 of them and we managed to pick up 1, 2, 3. Even though we cheated to get those Jaeger cores, I'm keeping them. This is a stupid RNG mechanic, a part of this mod that I hate. Now we need to craft ourselves an EMP mech so we can then go out and tame ourselves a Godzilla. But then when it came to trying to craft this EMP mech, we ran into a whole bunch of other problems. I need to make one of these spawn tameable Jaegers, but there's different options and I don't know which one I need to make. I crafted one of these, wasting my Jaeger cores, and it wasn't the right one. We couldn't craft the EMP mech, so I just spawned it in. We got a rogue Jaeger out of it. Then we got Pineapples up here to try and help us figure this out. We couldn't figure out which engram we needed to be able to actually use this thing. It was just so confusing. In the end, I just got Pineapples to craft up the spawn tameable Jaegers until we found the one that worked. Yeah, what one's that one? And while we're at it, I got Pineapples to just give me one of these EMP mechs anyway. There we go. There we go. Love appearing right at its nuts. Judge me all you like, but remember, all of these mods are currently not being worked on. And when things are janky, we just have to find creative ways to fix it. Also, this is the camera angle that we're stuck with whilst we're riding this Jaeger. You know, just to make this whole experience even worse. It's now day 75, and we put this totally legitimately crafted EMP mech to work, taming this Godzilla. Funny thing is, I had no idea on how to actually tame this thing. All I know is I have to press X that does this big EMP attack, and that should deal torpor to it. But when I try this, nothing happens. It's not working! Don't worry though, I do figure out what to do rather quickly. Oh, it's vulnerable, so while it's powering up, you've got to do it. Which is sketchy, because it could... Yeah, I get it, 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 I get it. Oh wait, it's not aiming towards me. Oh no, it's invincible. Okay, I get it. I get it. Now, if it wasn't made very clear, I now get it. To recap, I basically just need to wait for the Godzilla to charge up its attack. It'll then turn vulnerable. I charge in, do my EMP attack, and the torpor is then dealt. I then need to dip quick enough that it doesn't attack me. And the EMP mech is kind of weak. If we don't dip in time, this might happen. Uh-oh, that was bad idea. Bad idea. Bad idea. No! I'm stuck! Move!
I got it on me, Aaron. Run.
Run! We barely made it out alive that time. I cannot afford to get hit one more time or it's game over. It already took us long enough to get this EMP mech. Getting another one's going to be rather difficult. I need to play this smart and do my EMP attacks at the right times. I remain patient and make sure to do the attacks at the right time and escape quickly. We only need to deal one more attack and we should knock this Godzilla out. This Godzilla becomes vulnerable once again. I charge in, do my EMP attack, Yes! And we knocked this baby out. Now we just need to make 3 evolved Kaiju G cells. They're kind of expensive, so we'll get to work on that. Day 76, and I have enough of these evolved G cells that I can tame this Gojiren. And just like that, we've now tamed a very own Gojiren, ticking off another Kaiju. Now we only need to tame a Behemoth and a Mothra to complete this challenge. But after putting in all this work to tame this Gojiren, the question is it any good? Okay. He ain't no Doug, that's for sure. Yeah, honestly, this Gojiren's kind of trash. I think I need to tame one of the better Gojirens, like the Evolved Gojiren or the Thermonuclear Gojiren. But first, I noticed that there's a rather interesting Kaiju down there. This thing right here is like a bear mixed with a Reaper or something with some pretty cool abilities. I decided I had to tame it. Whilst attempting to tame this, things got a little bit chaotic. Pretty sure that's my own Godzilla killing me. I did manage to knock out this Kaiju, but its minions were kind of relentless. I just need to feed this guy quickly so I can tame him. Gave him the Kaiju cells, but I was still being attacked. Somehow I survived enough, but I did die eventually. I then tried to go back to the place that I died, but I kind of got lost. Damn, where was I? Down here? No. Is this direction? It was this direction. Just over here, right? Where was I? Oh, yeah. We found it eventually. It's kind of easy to get lost in the wasteland sometimes. We had now tamed this bear, Callisto, the former hunter. Come on, bro. That's sick. It's a bear with a Reaper head. Day 77, we went exploring around the map to see if we can find an evolved Gojiren. We didn't find a Gojiren straight away, but we did find one of these guys. Holy crap. G'day, mate. There's a gun over there, Mr. Destroyer. Then when we were exploring the map, we came across this. Yeah, this is what happens when you give admin privileges to certain people. Pineapples. This means I have to head back to base, pick up a little friend of ours, let him body slam our head, and get to work getting rid of all of them. Oh, yo, we got the tech transmitter. Next, we found a level 150 Doug out in the wilds, and I've not fought a Doug yet. And a Doug versus Doug fight might be kind of epic. I launched Doug's ultimate attack, and it only knocks out a little bit of health. This wild Doug is super tough, but at the end of the day, Boris Johnson's just superior. There was also this element vein nearby. I decided to do it. It can't hurt to have some extra element around the base anyway, especially now that we've unlocked a whole bunch of tech engrams. Day 78, we're still trying to complete this element vein. This one's not one of the more difficult ones. It's only a low level one, but thanks to good old Doug's AoE attack, it makes it quite easy to complete. And with this, we stock up on a whole lot of element, and then we teleport back home so we can store all of our goods. It's day 79, and we have now entered the tech age. I placed down the tech replicator, which will now allow us to make a bunch of tech items. We have so much element and electronics that I'm sure we can make basically whatever we want right now. So with that, the first thing I made was a tech generator to power all of our electronics around our entire base. I then finally made one of these tech force fields, the S Plus version, because apparently it's bigger. But the first place that I put it down, it didn't quite reach the entire base. Our shaft is just way too big. I repositioned it to the second floor of our base, and unfortunately, the tip of our shaft wasn't protected. So then I had to make myself another floor and try locating the force field here, and this fit perfectly like a good old Magnum. If you know, you know. It's important to keep your base protected. Later in the day, I meet up with some other people on the server and we begin another OSD. This is a purple OSD as well, so it's probably going to take us a while. Good thing we have Doug here who can belly flop on basically everything. Day 80 and we're still doing this OSD. We're planning on doing all 12 waves of this OSD so we can get all the loot, but we're also trying to farm corrupt hearts and alpha teeth. This was such a massive task that we didn't complete this OSD until day 81. Some of the loot that we got from this drop was pretty insane, but honestly, we're so late into this game and because we're playing modded that most of it was kind of useless to us. But at the end of the day, we were here for all of this stuff, all of the tributes for the boss fights. Now we're pretty stacked, but we're not quite ready to do the King Titan fight just yet. Day 82, we finally found an evolved Gojiren that I wanted to try and tame. He was powering up for an attack, so I came to this safe little area to get out my EMP mech. I knew quickly taming this guy was going to be difficult. Not only is he a lot stronger than the normal Gojiren, but this whole area is covered in corrupt dinos that want to eat my tushy. I do my best to stay vigilant and avoid all the corrupt dinos trying to kill me and this evolved Gojiren's attacks. This evolved Gojiren is significantly stronger than the last Gojiren that we faced off against. Any one of these attacks could immediately delete our EMP mech. The Gojiren became vulnerable, so I rushed in to go and try and use my EMP attack, but I got caught by its flamethrower. Okay, he's melting me. He's melting me. He's melting me. Oh, freaking romped on. Mistakes were definitely made, and we cannot afford to get hit again. I have to remain patient and time my attacks correctly. Like this. This was a perfect one. But it's when Gojiren does this attack, it really starts to hurt. Crap. Crap. Watch your health, please don't kill me. The last thing I wanted to do was lose our mech. It's really important to us, especially if we want to tame this evolved Godjiren. So I had to quickly make an escape and rethink my strategy. I basically just hid out here for a little bit and allowed my mech to heal up in the soul ball. Whilst I was healing up, I grabbed my dugout and ran around this area just clearing out some of the corrupt dinos. They're kind of pests and really annoying, but then dealing with the corrupt dinos and the dinos that the evolved Godjiren summons in really makes taming this thing so much harder. Anyways, once they're all cleared out and our EMP mech is a little bit healed up, we got him back out and started getting back to work. Again, making sure to stay as patient as possible and waiting for the perfect time to strike. He does this big AoE attack again, and it absolutely wrecks me. It does a whole bunch of radiation damage to me and the mech. I could see that my torpor was rapidly rising, so I went to hide out in this little cave thingy. Pineapples followed me in, and then I passed out. Problem is, it looked like the evolved Godjiren followed Pineapples in as well. Oh no, he followed you. My torpor kept rising. We weren't going to get out of this safely. My torpor was just going up. I can't do anything. Then even through my blurred hazy vision, I noticed that my EMP mech went to go fight the Godjiren. Oh no, where'd my thing go? It's trying to fight, is it? No! 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 Don't try and fight EMP thing. You're about to die, dude. My Kaiju Jaeger's going to die. Oh, I'm going to die. That'll be good. Never have I ever been so excited to die in my life. I immediately rushed to gather my stuff, got my PT out, and then started heading back over to our EMP mech. To ensure that we didn't lose our PT, I dismounted, parachuted, and soulbored it. Yeah, that was a pretty epic move. I then opened up my glider suit and started gliding back in to try and rescue my EMP mech. Yes! Saved it. Not gonna lie, this was a pretty tense moment. I didn't think we were gonna make it. I then found a safe location, got the EMP mech out, and again, we're back to work trying to knock out this evolved Godjiren. Godjiren was in a weird spot. I wanted to try and get his attention and move him out of this position. This ended up being a fatal mistake. When he started charging up, I couldn't pick what ability he was doing. I tried to get some distance away from him because I wasn't sure what it was. He did this attack. I couldn't move, so I dismounted and tried to get him back in the soul ball quickly. Unfortunately, I was pushed too far away. No! Oh! We had now just lost our EMP Kaiju Jaeger. This was honestly pretty devastating. This kind of takes away our chance of being able to get one of these Godjirens or any type of creature that's tamed by an EMP mech. In other news, my Ascendant Shotgun's pretty damn powerful. At the end of the day, we did complete our objective of taming this Godjiren. It just would have been a lot cooler if we had the evolved version or even something similar. I spent the rest of the day getting all of our modded creatures out. I want to have a good look at all of them. I honestly originally thought that this area that we put our base in was quite big. But once all these kaijus are here, I realized, yeah, they take up a lot of space. But here they all are, all in their glorious forms. The Cherno Alpha, Callisto, the former hunter, which Fenrir, the devourer of the gods, Gigamoth, Horus, the silly guy, which is just a Gojira. Skullcrawler, look at you, you ugly bastard, Mr. Nyquil. Godzilla's husband, which is really good, Ghidorah. Raijin, probably my favorite looking kaiju out of all of them. And the big man himself, Godzilla. Anyways, Godzilla had a little itch to scratch. He needed to go kill something, and I needed my revenge on this guy killing my EMP mech. I turned Godzilla into Super Godzilla and began fighting this evolved Godjiren. This didn't go to plan at all. We were doing a fair bit of damage, but then he did this move to me and followed up with something that killed me off the back of Godzilla. I hate this game. Day 84, and I send my Raijin in to go and help out. We arrive to the fight. I notice Godzilla's running away, and once again, I'm killed off the back of this kaiju. Third time lucky, we're sending in the big guns. Ghidorah can surely handle itself against this evolved Godjiren, right? As we started making our way out, we got a notification that our Raijin had died. So the only thing left I could do was go and chase after our Godzilla and try and get him back. I got off Ghidorah to chase down Godzilla, but it's just way too fast. Good thing our Pteranodon Big Toe is small enough and nimble enough to catch up. This was a pretty chaotic day, but we got our Godzilla back. When I finally arrived back at base, I put away all of my kaiju. Pretty disappointed. We lost our EMP mech and our Raijin. Whilst I was considering our next move, I went to repair all of our armor. We might be down a little bit, but we still got to be looking dapper. Day 85, I get dug back out, head down to the ground, and I take out this Jaeger. There's a core. Oh my god. No way. We got one. First one we killed, we got a core. To me, this was a sign. We have to then go out and start collecting these Jaeger cores and get an EMP mech again. So that's literally what we do for the rest of the day. Hunt down Jaegers so we can get some more of these Jaeger cores. Day 86 and we have 2 Jaeger cores. This is looking kind of promising. We might get an EMP mech in time. But whilst we're in the wasteland trying to hunt down these Jaegers, we encountered Iroh, the great manticore, once again. This time, I took this opportunity to try and tame it. It had Zuko following it around as well. I knew I couldn't kill it, but I could knock it out. I don't think I can tame it though. I then had to quickly race back to base so that I can craft up these enhanced Kaiju G cells in order to tame Iroh the Great Manticore. This isn't one of the Kaiju on our list, but it's still pretty epic to have. We still need to tame one of those beasts, Mr. Behemoth himself. First, I wanted to test out this Manticore's abilities. It has different elemental abilities like electric, fire, and radiation, and they're all unique and pretty cool. He's just not very strong to us right now, unlike our big boy Doug himself. I wanted to try and tame this Behemoth. There's a little trick to taming it. You need to damage him just a little bit. Instead, I accidentally killed him completely. I killed it. I did not mean to. Anyways, we're back out here trying to hunt down Jaegers. Have I ever mentioned how much I hate RNG in games? Like, the fact that we have to kill a crazy amount of these Jaegers just to be able to get the Jaeger cores is absolutely ridiculous. Especially since the EMP mech is kind of weak and can get one shot quite easily from any one of these Kaiju. Day 88, and by some miracle, we now have another EMP mech. I know it's called an EMP Kaiju Jaeger, but it's just a big mouthful. EMP mech makes more sense. I then made these S+ tech transmitters. They're supposed to help us find some creatures out in the world, but I didn't have enough resources to make any more than this. You need like 5 for it to work effectively. Unfortunately, I was kind of short on black pearls. I was really hoping the tech transmitters would help us find exactly what we're looking for, especially since we're on a bit of a time crunch now. We do find this thermonuclear Godjirin out in the snow biome, but the risk versus reward isn't really worth it. It's too low of a level for it to really matter to us right now, and it could still one-shot our EMP mech. We find ourselves in the desert biome where there's a level 200 thermonuclear Godjirin. We are then warned to leave the area, but that's when we find this Behemoth. And I still need to tick this off of our list. I then get out Godzilla and go in to attack Behemoth. You see, the key to knocking this guy out is basically I have to get this guy down to below, I believe, 20% of its health. And to make this a little bit quicker, I turned our Godzilla into Super Godzilla. We then began doing a lot of damage rather quickly. So much so that I was kind of scared we might accidentally kill it. This could be bad. I don't want to kill it. But then once its health gets low enough, a torpor bar will then appear. Then now we can knock it out just like normal. We glide on down and we shoot it twice, putting this bad boy to sleep. Again, I only craft these Kaiju G cells back at base because they spoil so quickly. It's just better to leave them in the refrigerator and craft them this way. It took 3 evolved Kaiju cells to tame this guy up, but now we have Behemoth, ticking that off of our list. This gentleman's a rather interesting looking creature. I'm pretty sure he's just a reskinned Ice Titan. Also, compared to a few other Kaiju in this game, he's not that strong. Day 89, and I'm determined to find ourselves an evolved Godjirin. We managed to find a tech Godjirin fighting the thermonuclear Godjirin. Looks like the tech's losing too. This was a pretty brutal fight. We then continued our search for the perfect Godjirin to tame. Then we found one. Unfortunately, it's only a level 190, but it is what it is. We don't have enough time to sit there and try and find the perfect one now. This isn't the best location for this, as there's a lot of corrupted dinos. They're all kind of pesky. Ideally, I'd like to try and get this Godjirin down below into the oil area kind of space. Like right here. Yeah, we got him down here. Except a lot of these corrupted dinos still want to fight us. Knowing very well that if we lost this EMP mech, we definitely don't have another opportunity to be able to tame one of these guys. And to make this a little bit easier, I got dug out just to clear out some of the dinos that are around this place. Literally everything around here kept attacking me and my EMP mech. But killing every creature around here actually ends up making things a lot harder for us when we're trying to tame this Godjirin. Why is that exactly? Well, basically, I want the Godjirin to try and attack something else, not me. It'll keep the focus on that, and that gives it a better chance to become vulnerable like this. But when it's charging up for its attack and its focus is on me, it creates a higher risk to attack me. Day 90, and we're still trying to take out this guy. We're not making very much progress right now, but honestly, it's because we're trying to be as patient as possible. Again, it's pretty risky doing this. Remember the last time we fought evolved Godjirin? It absolutely wrecked us. Vulnerable. Anyways, we wait for it to become vulnerable once again, and we're just chipping away at its torpor. We got it. Our patience was working. We were almost able to knock this guy out. Dude, we're so close. 3 more hits. 9 billion torpor done. I hit it again. Now we're up to 9.9. It's only going to take 1 more hit. 1 more hit after this, chat, and we've tamed the evolved Godjirin. I was excited. We were about to get this evolved Godjirin, but then the worst possible thing happened. Come on. Give me a reason. Go vulnerable. No! Yeah. The thing just disappeared. It just despawned. Gotta love ARK, right? Oh, chat. That's tilted me, chat. That's tilted me so bad, chat. We spent almost 3 days trying to tame this evolved Godjirin. It was pretty frustrating for this to happen to us. Day 91, whilst I was at base, I heard some noises happening down on the ground. I had a sneaking suspicion this might be a Godjirin we might want to tame. I was still frustrated with what just happened with the evolved Godjirin, but then I saw this, a level 250 thermonuclear Godjirin right near our base. This had to be our opportunity to finally tame one of these beasts. I waited patiently for my opportunity. It happened again. Oh. Great. Another one just disappears on me. I have to be easily one of the most unluckiest players in these ARK 100 days. Anyways, I'm still determined to get myself one of these stronger Godjirians. Then I thought to myself, maybe if I had some tech transmitters, I might be able to find one easier or even something better. But I am lacking in black pearls. I then made all of these foundations because I have a little idea on how to get these black pearls. We just need to go to the underground to find that exact thing. Gotchas. I figured maybe a gacha would be the best way to get ourselves some black pearls. And taming these guys is rather easy as long as you had the right stuff. I know that they prefer these foundations, but I definitely didn't bring enough. So I just harvested all the stuff around us to try and use that instead. Whenever we tamed one, I made sure to check to see exactly what they could produce. For example, this one produces all of these things, but none of them are black pearls. I discovered that metal is the best thing to use to be able to tame these guys. Well, with what we have on hand currently. But then trying to find a gacha that produces black pearls was way harder than I thought it was going to be. We spent so much time just taming gachas trying to find the perfect one. This even ticked over to day 92, where all I wanted to do was just tame this gacha, but no, these raptors were not allowing us to do so. Thankfully, my Ascendant shotgun is pretty damn powerful. Yeah, get out of here, you stupid idiots. Just trying to tame this freaking gacha. And for a short moment there, I thought this gacha was the one. Except that says silica pearls and not black pearls. Tried another time, still no luck. Then once I was trying to tame this gacha, I looked just behind it and saw that there was a Godzilla. It tamed up just as Godzilla started to approach us. I quickly checked to see what he produced, and again, not black pearls. I had to quickly escape this time. I did not want to get eaten by Godzilla. I then headed on out and evacuated from the underground area. But then I was flying around the wastelands near the sulfur biome area. I saw a level 300 Godjirian, which I got kind of excited about, went to land to try and tame it, but then I saw this beast. Oh, what's that? Kaitan. Oh, you're a beast, son. I'm pretty sure he's one of the bosses. I need to tame him. I need to tame him. Sorry, Godjirian, don't need you. With this, I landed nearby, somewhere kind of safe. I'm unsure of its abilities or if it could reach us. Then I got my EMP mech out, waited for it to turn vulnerable, and charged on in. My first hit landed perfectly, but then it kind of hit me and it wasn't doing damage, but it kept stunning me. Taming these kind of kaijus is kind of tricky if you're not in the right type of area. But the good thing about this particular kaiju, we always knew when it was going to do its most deadliest attack. Nope. That's a big AoE. You see, when it turns pink and glows like this, it's pretty dangerous and I run away. It's a little bit cheesy, but if you go out of render, it seems like the Kaitan's big attack doesn't work really. It eventually gets stuck in this kind of, I don't even know what that's called, cliff, which then makes it much easier to be able to use my EMP attack against it. Because it's kind of stuck there, whenever it goes vulnerable, it's pretty easy to charge up to. Day 93, and we're still trying to tame this Kaitan. Again, I'm trying to be as patient as possible. It's so risky trying to tame these guys as they can basically one-shot us. And somehow the Kaitan got stuck down here. This is a kind of awkward position as my EMP couldn't reach it. This just wasn't going to work. I had to try and find a way to get this guy out of there. I flew down, tried to hit him with my PT to try and aggro him so he would move. This somehow wasn't working. I just couldn't seem to get his attention. Well, until now. No, Big Toe! I can't lie, this was definitely pretty devastating. We've had Big Toe since the beginning. Big Toe is an OG. We will definitely mourn the loss of Big Toe later, but for now, we have a massive kaiju that we have to tame. First, we have to get him unstuck from this, or even try and find a way that I can still get at him with my EMP attack. Doing this, what I just tried to do was super risky. We almost got our butt chewed off and our EMP mech dead. But now I don't know what I need to do to be able to get this guy down. I then tried my EMP attack from down below, but as we attempted to do it, we got attacked by some corrupt dinos, and I think that cancelled my attack. I gave this one more try, but tried to elevate myself a little bit more, and this seemed to work. All right, so we can hit it from underneath. Good to know. But then we repositioned, came back in, and the stupid thing finally decided to step down. No way, you actually made it down here. But now that the big boy's down here, he's after us. I do like this area though to try and knock these guys out. I like that it's nice and open. There's a few little pests around that can kind of keep him busy, and pillars like this that we can hide behind. I then charge in to hit him again with our EMP attack, and it lands successfully. One more. And you are out. This is it. No, I'm not ready. No, the cooldown's not done. No, yep. Just hit it. Somehow this worked, even though we didn't see the EMP explode. Kaitan requires 4 evolved kaiju cells to be able to tame him, which again is kind of a process to make him. Once we made them all, we ran back over to the Kaitan, tried to feed it to him, but we couldn't open up his inventory. Why can't I access its inventory? To make things worse, there was a behemoth that wanted to come into play. So not only do I have to try and find the box to be able to open up his inventory to give him the kaiju cells, I also have to try and avoid getting taken out by this big behemoth. Who's supposed to be able to access that? And for some strange reason, this behemoth was not happy that I was trying to tame this Kaitan. Can you f off? Then a whole flock of corrupted pteranodons also wanted me dead. I just wanted to tame this Kaitan in peace. Looks like it's not going to happen for us right now. I didn't really have a solution on how I'm supposed to get out of this right now, so I just decided to teleport out of here. I try and heal myself up rather quickly, well, just as much as I can, and then I teleport back into the fight, making sure that I have a fully loaded Ascendant shotgun. I start shooting, and I think I'm taking out some of these PTs, but when that doesn't work, I just get out my good friend, the Skullcrawler, and he handles business in 0.69 seconds. But also, Skullcrawler's at the exact right height that we can now access Kaitan's inventory and feed him the Kaiju G cells. We got it. I didn't forget about this level 300 Godzilla, so I began taming it. Problem is, at this very time in the recording, oh, you're not evolved, you're just normal. Yeah, I thought it was an evolved Godzilla. I didn't realize it was just a normal one. You ain't that cool, son. We tried to make our escape, and then we ran into this guy. We hadn't seen this guy since early game. Anyways, we need to move on and do something a little bit more productive, like maybe possibly taming this guy, the thermonuclear Godzilla. Just like the other Godzillans, he turns vulnerable. I go in to land my EMP attack. It does a little bit of teleport damage, just like the others, and I escape. He turns vulnerable one more time. I go in to land the EMP attack. It lands perfectly. No, move out of the way. We get a little bit stuck. Uh-oh. But we manage to escape. We try this again, but as I get close, I'm burning up. The thermonuclear Godzilla has an ability that if you get too close at a certain period of time, it affects you, the player, and the creature you're riding. We wait patiently for another chance to attack. We take that opportunity, and it works. It looked like we had a real chance at taming this thermonuclear Godzilla. I went in, did my EMP attack, got a little bit stuck, but as I tried to escape, we died. And then so did our EMP mech. Yep, being that it's day 94, we just don't have the time to craft another EMP mech to try and tame another Godzilla. After all, we still need to tame ourselves a Mothra, fight the King Titan, and then the bosses that are part of the mod. But before all of that, we had to mourn the death of our good friend, Big Toe. The PT was very loyal to us, so this moment is pretty sad. Thankfully, this is just a video game though, and he's very replaceable. See this PT? He only took one shot, he's down. And let me introduce you to my new best friend, Big Toe 2. Anyways, it's kind of low-key crazy that we had to tame a PT on day 95. I quickly zipped out to the wastelands and then got my Kaitan out. He's definitely an interesting creature, but we need to find out if he's strong or not. Compared to Godzilla, he's actually pretty decent. Testing out all of this guy's abilities is pretty fun, and I low-key love that this ability is nice and glowing pink. It's fabulous. And when he stomps the grounds, he absolutely crushes everything. We also managed to level him up a bit, but it's time to put him away because we got other things we need to do. I decide the next task that we're going to complete is the King Titan fight. I returned to the terminal to see exactly what tributes I needed. I knew I had mostly everything, but I definitely know that I don't have enough corrupt hearts. We're already in the red biome, so we might as well just go and start munching on some of these corrupt dinos with my big old Doug. And this quickly does the trick, getting us all the corrupt hearts that we need. The next day I returned back to base to collect all of the tributes, but somehow, and I don't know how, I had lost the Forest Titan trophy, which means we need to head back over to the Forest Titan terminal, defeat all the dinos that are standing there waiting for me, place in what tributes that I had, and summon in the Forest Titan. This time I fight him with my Kaitan. Last time we fought him with our Raijin, but this time fighting him with our Kaitan is very different. He's just a lot stronger. I can easily say that I'm a massive fan of our Kaitan. And after just chipping away at his health for quite a little while, we managed to take down this Forest Titan, acquiring the Forest Titan trophy that we need to be able to summon in the King Titan. We find ourselves back at the King Titan terminal with almost all of the required tributes and Titan Boa Venom, which we had back at base. Day 97, and with the amount of things we have left to do, we are running out of time. I've grabbed every one of my Rexes that I had lying around in my soul terminal and bring them to the King Titan fight. We don't have a lot of them, and I don't have enough time to be able to let them heal up, so I'm only maxing out their melee stats. Once all of my Rexes are fully leveled up, I head back to the terminal and summon in the Gamma King Titan. Whilst the King Titan summons in, I then get my Godzilla out. Once again, he summons in way too high. We try this again and then finally get to mount Godzilla. The King Titan summons in a bunch of corrupt dinos that start fighting my Rexes. I then supercharge my Godzilla, but I forget to take the atomic nuke out before it's too late. Then, in one swift hit, the King Titan wrecks all of my Rexes. I charge in to attack with my Godzilla, and I do a ton of damage. In my mind, I think this fight's going to be quite easy. I'm munching away without a care in my mind. No, my Rexes didn't even stand a chance, bro. And then the King Titan goes into this weird phase. A bunch of meteors start falling down. I'm doing a little bit of damage, but it also looks like I'm getting hit off the back of my Godzilla as well. Also, fun fact, I've never actually fought the King Titan before. This is my first time. But in my mind, I'm still doing damage. It might not be as much as I was before. I'm still doing damage though. I just couldn't understand exactly what was happening right now. King Titan low-key kind of tough. The King Titan was stuck in this phase for quite a while. Then I thought maybe I have to come over here and destroy this element vein. To be honest, even though after this has happened, I still don't really understand how this works. But as you could probably expect, we've been doing this for so long. This happened. Ah, damn it. When I respawned, all of my armor was broken, and I knew at least I needed my glider suit. So I did make sure to repair all of my armor. Before returning to the King Titan arena, I did make sure to make another atomic nuke. I returned back to the King Titan arena, but I can't see Godzilla around here. Turns out he's just hiding over in the back here. What a pussy. I get back on him, enhance his power with a nuke again, and the King Titan is ready to fight once again. I head back in to start attacking, start slicing away, and we're starting to do some real damage again. Looks like we could possibly win this, but in the heat of battle, Godzilla decides to go to sleep. Excuse me? Fuck, he just went to sleep, bro. I can't tell if that was something that I did or if Godzilla just did it. Anyways, we try and get back into this fight. Kind of risky for me to charge all the way back in like this, past the King Titan and all these corrupt dinos. But we eventually make it, which is good, I guess. I still don't really know what I'm doing, and the King Titan keeps healing up. I supercharge my Godzilla once again, and we continue fighting this King Titan. The King Titan charges up for this epic attack. Obviously, I freak out and run away. I stand back and watch, and nothing seems to be happening. Thankfully, Mr. Pineapples was on the outskirts, and he was coaching me on what to do right now. So I went back in to go and hurt him. It looked like he was going to attack, but he just stand there waiting for us to hit him. We're finally starting to do some serious damage to this King Titan. It looks like we're going to win this fight. But once again, he goes into this weird defensive phase again. Again, I thought it had something to do with this element vein to be able to get him out of this phase. I honestly couldn't figure it out. This was a really tricky situation. I just went back in and started attacking him, even though I was doing very minimal damage. When that really wasn't working, we went back to the element vein. I jumped off my Godzilla and tried harvesting all of the nodes around the element vein. Again, this wasn't working. And I'm sure there's people there watching this video going, Aaron, you're a complete idiot and you're doing it wrong. But I don't know, man. And Pineapples wasn't coaching me in this part. I don't know what the frick's going on. He eventually told me that I just need to keep clicking and damaging him. That's all I can possibly do. But we just kept chipping away at his health, doing very minimal damage. It started charging up an attack. It hit me, and then my Godzilla got thrown away. I dismounted, chucked my Godzilla back in a ball, parachuted quickly, and tried my best to get back into this King Titan fight as quick as possible before he could heal up. I swear, my maneuvers are just too good, chat. They're just too good, except they're a little bit too slow. So the King Titan healed up a bit. Like quite a bit. My Godzilla's supercharged once again, but a meteor ended my life. No, you frack. Respawned, I repaired my glider suit, and we're back into the fight. I made it all the way back to Godzilla, jumped on his back, and then got hit by a meteor immediately. The next time I returned, I brought a friend with me. It's really time to pull out all the big guns. Now it's a 2v1 situation. Surely between me, Kaitan, and Godzilla, we can take down this Gamma King Titan. The issue that I was having right now is my Godzilla was being passive. It wasn't attacking. If it continued attacking whilst we weren't riding it, we might have a chance to win. I dismounted my Kaitan and I whistled that to attack anything that's attacking me. I then ran back over to my Godzilla, jumped on its back, and started fighting. For some reason, it wouldn't listen to my whistle commands. I returned, and this time I brought Behemoth with me. My Kaitan was still fighting, but Godzilla was still passive. I don't know what the frick was happening. I died once again. This fight was brutal and not going how I expected it to go. The next time we turned up to this fight, I brought Raijin with me. Surely now we're gonna win against the King Titan. There's literally 4 kaijus versus this one King Titan. Problem is, they all seem to be passive. I finally managed to get them to all fight. Now we're doing some serious damage against this King Titan. With all of my kaijus fighting at their full potential, we are absolutely decimating this Gamma King Titan. It was doing its big charge up move when we finally took it down and were victorious in the Gamma King Titan fight. Piece of shit. Oh, you freaking bunk. I then went and collected all of my rewards for killing the King Titan. Honestly, this loot was pretty decent. Then I placed all of my kaijus in their soul balls and saw a glowing light. I was curious, so I went and entered it. This then led us into this cutscene. Although very interesting, I'm sure if you want to watch it, you can go see it somewhere else. We're going to cut to the next part. The part where I respawn back at base and go and retrieve my corpse, and nothing was there. All of my loot was gone, including all of the kaijus that I just fought the King Titan with. Straight away, I teleported back over to the King Titan arena, checked the terminal to see if my stuff was there, and ran around the arena to see if I can retrieve my stuff. It was literally nowhere to be found. With this, I quickly ended my life and accepted my fate. I can't really continue without all of my kaijus. I lost everything that I possibly had. Unfortunately, I didn't get to complete my list. We didn't get to tame Mothra, and I didn't get to fight any bosses. I want to give a massive shout out to all of my Patreons, YouTube members, and Twitch subscribers. Thank you so much for all of the support recently, and all the people that have purchased my merch. I can't believe people are actually wearing my merch right now. But I want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like it, hit that like and subscribe button. Also, if you watched my previous video, 100 Days in Pugnature, you're probably wondering where Mr. Miola is. To be honest, I don't know. I thought we would have found him. He might be in the next video. Until next time, peace.